Who knew I would make it this far? They hated, they never believed me. Yeah, I would never drop the ball. I know I make it look easy. Yeah, Mayweather with the defense. I don't care what a critic gotta say. I got them picking up the pieces. That to me, you really playing with your life. I'm about to come and run it all back. I'm the new era, about to snap back. You ain't fitted for it, cause you all cap like. Hold up, I shoot my shot, wait, hold up. I'm really about to run this go up. You know it's all net when it go up. Ain't got no other plans, you don't need to understand, ayy. We on overtime, you don't need to understand, ayy. You just show them how to do it when you don't know what to say. Tell me how you plan to win if you plan to play the same.
Moving fast, already gone, yeah, but you bringing me back. Try to double cross me, dog, just let me relax. Stop assuming what we doing. Keep it moving, what we doing. Cause it can get big and right. Cause it can get big and right. Cause it can get big and right.
Ay, please don't play no games with me, I promise I'm too much. Ay, I can never let up even if you had enough. Ay, this ain't for the faint of heart, we always playing rough. I had enough, it ain't luck. I needed a vision, I needed ambition, I needed a mission to beat this submission with no intermission. I see the collision, the crash in the distance, ain't coming off track, no. Now when they ask what's the motive, don't talk, I just show them. They all about to see what I mean in the moment. I gotta keep going, I'm shaking the dice and I'm keeping it rolling, they already know.
Ain't got no other plans, you don't need to understand, ayy. We on overtime, you don't need to understand, ayy. You just show them how to do it when you don't know what to say. Tell me how you plan to win if you plan to play the same.
Moving fast, already gone, yeah, but you bringing me back. Try to double cross me, dog, just let me relax. Stop assuming what we doing. Keep it moving, what we doing. Cause it can get big and right. Cause it can get big and right. Cause it can get big and right.
Yeah, gotta aim for the top like. Hold up, yeah, I can never doubt myself, I know better. All of you critics be acting like you know better. Blowing the smoke, but I know when the dust settles that I'm in my element, it's evident that there's levels to the game. All of those dark nights I got then, breaking my back to make it out, got me feeling like rain. I ain't never need your help, I know you wishing me well, a penny for your thoughts, but seeing no change. I snap for the sun like Diddy, the richest got a mad ass son, I'm like Billy. I ain't never switch up, whole team with me, putting on for my city like OAGZ. Set the pace as long as you finish, consumers find a way inside your business. Babble if they try to dabble in it and they hate the fact that they may have to witness. You tryna aim for the top like this and you're in your element with a fire like this and they hoping you fall and they praying you miss, but it's all in the risk. I got you with the switch, you know.
I'm in the zone. Give me the throne. One shot, that's all that you got. That's all that I know. Foot on the gas. 155 on the road. You could be a friend of me, an enemy. Keep that same old energy, cause I know I'm in my element. Ooh, yeah. I'm in my element. Ooh, yeah. I'm in my element. I'm in my element. Ooh, yeah. I'm in my element. Ooh, yeah. I'm in my element. Ooh, yeah. Keep that same energy. I'm in my element. Ooh, yeah.
I'm in my element, flow is like water, I'm forced through the fire, I'm feeling like gold. Gotta stay grounded, stay down to earth, following God and you grinding, you do as you told. I don't work to make you like me, but I'm front and center, word to Spike Lee. And God came in the nick of time, they think I'm crazy, well I might be. Let's run it up, run it up, run it up. We beating the odds just to sum it up. You know it's a rap, never waistlines, and I'm cutting the weight like a tummy tuck. That mean I'm about to give it out right now. You see what's coming down the line, I never pipe down. I give 100% and be trying to stun on my enemies, in my element is crazy as that might sound.
I'm in the zone. Give me the throne. One shot, that's all that you got. That's all that I know. Foot on the gas. 155 on the road. You could be a friend of me, an enemy. Keep that same old energy, cause I know I'm in my element. Ooh, yeah. I'm in my element. Ooh, yeah. I'm in my element. I'm in my element. Ooh, yeah. I'm in my element. Ooh, yeah. I'm in my element. Ooh, yeah. Keep that same energy. I'm in my element.
Never switch up. 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 Never switch up.
Keep that same energy. I'm in my element.
Yeah. Salute. What's really good? What's really popping, though? What's really popping? Shout out to everybody in the building, man. It's another one, man. Today's Tuesday, man. I lost track of what day it might be, man. Shout out to everybody in the building, man. Shout out to everybody in the building. It is Tuesday, so we'll be talking about a lot of things today, man. Obviously, a lot about what's happened over the weekend. Great weekend of fights. Hey, shout out to everybody in the building who went and caught that Mark Chamberlain versus Pierce O'Leary fight. Oh man, bro, I'm watching that card. It made me upset I didn't call live on the card. Granted, I had so much going on that day. I really couldn't cover that live that day, but it was definitely fear. There was a FOMO energy because I just would have loved to call that Mark Chamberlain Pierce O'Leary fight specifically, right? I mean, the whole card pretty much had those moments. It was a great card to do commentary on. And I watched it Sunday morning and I was like, damn, man, that was the card that I need to be calling, right? But, unfortunately, this isn't the full-time gig, right? We have to do what we got to do to feed the family, take care of the family. But, wow, man, what a card. Obviously, we're going to be talking about at least the main event today, right? We'll be talking about what I believe at this point may be fight of the year at this point. Literally, I think it might be fight of the year at minimum in the conversation, right? Fight of the year candidate, obviously, right? But we'll definitely be talking about that fight. And there's, a rematch clause at the end of that fight, so we're probably going to see it again. I mean, yeah, right? Yeah, right. Also, some pretty good fights on the undercard. But obviously, we all were here together on Saturday calling the Golden Boy card, right? Lamont Roach versus William Zepeda. So we got to talk about the lightweight division today. Now, listen, I know in the boxing space right now, creators are covering the drama, right? Keyshawn Davis, Shakur Stevenson, Devin Haney. And look, we're going to talk about that as well, right? Things are developing in that. Shout out to my brother Najee on Cigar Talk. Had Gustavo Olivieri on his show yesterday. Very informative as usual. Najee probably one of the most legit. Listen, man, what skin is it off my back, right? To let you know that he's probably one of the more just as far as substance is concerned, content creators in the boxing space. This guy brings the interviews. He brings the journal. I don't know if that's what he went to school for, but he's at a high level with these interviews. He knows what the people want to hear. He's asking the right questions. We're getting the answers we need. Without Najee from Cigar Talk, would we even be able to talk about in a real way without all the speculation about what probably is going on with Keyshawn Davis and this whole situation? I mean, he even brought on Jay Prince Jr. or Little J. I don't know what his name is, but Jay Prince's youngest son, who is very hands-on with what's going on with his father, with Keyshawn Davis. He's also hands-on with the fighters. I guess he's a co-manager or something with his father. So very interesting. And it did shed some light on it. We'll talk about it. I'm a lot better. Listen, on Friday, what was it, Saturday? Was it Friday? Friday when I did the pop-up live on the whole situation, I was kind of emotional, a passionate fan, just like you guys, right? Just like you guys. So not to say that I passed too much judgment. I believe all the judgment we've passed is fair play, but at the same time, there was always hope at the end of the tunnel that maybe something might come out that may make sense of what we're seeing, right? And still, listen, accountability is definitely there for Keyshawn Davis. He was running his mouth. He sold us a whole lot of nonsense. And like young, who was it who said that? I'm trying to remember who might have said it, but ultimately saying that, Keyshawn should have taken all those things into consideration before he went ahead and moved forward and did all the things he did, right? To make this fight the biggest thing that needs to be done. It is a big letdown. We'll talk about that as well, right? We'll talk about the interview with Gustavo Olivieri, what he said as far as the actual negotiations were concerned, as far as the actual purse bid was concerned, how that worked out, the communication with Jay Prince. How did Keyshawn Davis end up at that number one mandatory spot in that situation? I mean, we all have our understanding of how the WBO works with certain promotional companies. We understand the WBO's relationship with Bob Arum and, Top Rank specifically, right? So we understand that part of it as fans from the outside looking in, but I think Gustavo Olivieri did put some perspective on it. Also shedding some light potentially on the ideas that we had about the role Keyshawn Davis played in becoming a mandatory and even competing at the 147-pound division, right? And what Jay Prince did and how were those pieces being moved, right? A lot to talk about in that as well. So we'll talk about that as well. But more so today, we're definitely going to be talking about this weekend of fights. We're going to be talking about Raymond Morataya and Unconcesioao. Where's Raymond Morataya going next? We're going to talk about the performance, obviously, of William Zepeda and Lamont Roach, for sure. We'll even talk about Raul Curiel and Randall, Quentin Randall, right? We'll talk about that as well. What else are we talking about? We got a couple of things to talk about, but mainly the lightweight division, right? Announcements being made in the division as well. Floyd Schofield Jr. finally, right, in a legitimate way, I guess it's been announced that this fight has been ordered, and it will be for the vacant WBA title in the lightweight division. So we will also have a new WBA champion, October, I believe, 15th or 10th. I'm not sure what the date is the target date that we'll be seeing Floyd Schofield Jr. fight Lucas Body for that vacant WBA title. So the lightweight division, as we've been following it, is terraforming in front of us, right? There's a passing of the guard happening in the division where it used to be about Gervonta Tank Davis. At one point, you used to even have Devin Haney in the conversation, Shakur Stevenson in the conversation. Now we're seeing that old guard being moved out the way, this new guard of young, hungry fighters who want to make their name in the game or in the space. And I'm hopeful, I'm optimistic at the idea of these younger fighters, and with the new situation at the Zone, with the new situation with all these promotional companies being underneath the same umbrella, I am optimistic about where boxing is heading as far as the fights that we want to see. Young Abdullah Mason may be confronted with his biggest competition yet, right? And keep in mind, Abdullah Mason we got to remember, he's a young guy, man. How old is Abdullah Mason? What is he, 21? Is he 23? I don't remember what his age is right now. I think he's 21 years old, maybe 22, right? So he's a young champion. He was fast-tracked to a certain degree, right? To a large degree, he was fast-tracked, but we talked about it right here on this platform. Once you become a champion and you pick up that belt, there's no going back, right? There's no more. You're going to have to learn on the job, right? As he's been confronted with back-to-back competitive fights. If you take it all the way back to him picking up that title, fighting his first 12-round fight with Sam Noakes, right? A fight of the year candidate, a war for Abdullah Mason. Then he was supposed to get his light touch against Joe Cordina, but Joe Cordina loses out on his visa issues, and he ends up jumping in the ring with an Albert Bell. A war, right? A fight that he had to pull out, some would argue, in the final hours of that fight, the final minutes. I only say the final hours, right? Fight wasn't even an hour long. But now, potentially looking like everybody's demanding and wanting to see this young fighter who has an appetite for smoke, shout out to the thumbnail, who may be confronted with the most active, highest volume puncher in a well-to-do, leveled up William Zepeda, who brings in the experience of fighting a Shakur Stevenson and beating a Lamont Roach. Might this be too much for Abdullah Mason at this point? Should he be preserved a little bit better? Does Abdullah Mason not only deserve the light touch, but does it make more sense for him to get this light touch next? Or as fans, are we just salivating, you know what I mean, with hunger and greed for more? We want more. We want more violence. Shout out to my guy Toledo Treese if you're in the building. We want violence. Do we take into consideration that Abdullah Mason? Will we give him the grace? Like, not yet. Maybe not yet, right? Zepeda, not just yet. Let Zepeda get a title defense. Let Abdullah Mason get a title defense, and let's see them figure it out later. Or do we want it now? You know what I mean? We'll talk about that, obviously. You know what I'm saying? And we'll talk about Floyd Schofield Jr. also against Lucas Body and what we can be expecting from that as well. We'll talk about news coming out. Jerron Boots Ennis' situation, man. The man is in charge. He is the face of 154 as far as I'm concerned right now. I mean, maybe some of you guys would like to argue that it's Sebastian Fundora. Fair play, right? But there is one unified champion for sure in the division right now, and it's Jerron Boots Ennis. He looks like he's the guy who everybody wants to fight right now, which is crazy, right? But he does hold the unification. So even Josh Kelly now looks like he wants to make that fight happen. We talked about Josh Kelly on the last performance, right, guys? We talked about the fact that Josh Kelly needs to make some money with that belt. Josh Kelly came close to losing his title the last time he was in the ring. I almost want to take that back because Josh Kelly, he's a skilled Olympian, great fighter, great boxer, a great boxer with a fighting spirit. But still, his payday, the work that he's done on the back end of upsetting the boogeyman, Bakram Murder Zaliev, he wants to go ahead and cash out on that, right? I think any fighter in their right mind works to get to that level that they want to work and get to the level where they're in a big fight that's going to get him some big money. So based off that performance, what is Josh Kelly going to do? Is he going to take another tune-up up? He's a fighter who can, it would be unfortunate for Josh Kelly for him to lose his title against somebody who doesn't bring in the money, right? So does he cash out on it now? Listen, barbecue and mildew, right? Make lemonade. The top of the division is heavy. Sebastian Fundora, Jerron Boots Ennis, right? Virgil Ortiz. These are the big fights. A rematch with Bakram. These are the big fights for Josh Kelly. But is Josh Kelly going to get his biggest payday fighting just anybody, or does he need to fight specifically the right fight? Is it Jerron Boots Ennis, who has Eddie Hearn, somebody who you're under the same exact promotional umbrella as, or do you go against Sebastian Fundora across the street, quote unquote, as they would have it, to go fight Sebastian Fundora, a towering southpaw punching inferno, right? We'll talk about that a little bit as well. Options on the table for Jerron Boots Ennis. We'll talk about what direction we're expecting him to go into as well. We'll be looking at the whole lightweight landscape, of course, as far as looking at the usual suspects in Abdullah Mason, Raymond Morataya, even Gervonta Tank Davis, Floyd Schofield Jr., Lucas Body, Javier Herrera, right? We'll also talk about Lamont Roach. What do we think for Lamont Roach next? What makes sense for Lamont Roach next? On the back end of this campaign he's been on, Lamont Roach, a fighter who came to be in a very unorthodox way, right? On the back end of Gervonta Tank Davis, where I would say a lot of our community and a lot of boxing fans out there would say on the back end of and we'll talk about that too as well, Dave, a cherry pick gone wrong? Was Lamont Roach a cherry pick gone wrong for Gervonta Tank Davis? How is the Lamont Roach fight aging for Gervonta Tank Davis right now? On the back end of going to the judges and getting a draw on a fight that I would say a lion's share of the boxing community thought he lost, combined with the controversy, Lamont Roach rolls into his next fight with Isaac Pitbull Cruz, goes to a draw again against a fighter that Gervonta Tank Davis beat with one hand. Has Isaac Cruz's career aged well to make that victory count as much? I mean, the PBC has done a good job of moving him strategically, but has he jumped into the ring with the best fighters? Has he gotten the recognition? Did he, the biggest accomplishment he probably would have done since he fought Gervonta Tank Davis is probably beating Rolly Romero for that WBA title, right? We'll talk about that. We'll talk about all those things, guys, right? We'll talk about a fighter that I want to make sure we bring up, two fighters that I think are very much wild cards in the lightweight division. One of them, Alan Chavez. Y'all remember Alan Chavez, right? What a firecracker, knockout of the year candidate. And then Sam Noakes, who gave Abdullah Mason a run for his money, a literal run for his money. They're still in the division. They're still in the conversation as well, right? So we got to talk about the lightweight division. I think I'm excited. The lightweight division looks like it might be jumping into position to take the throne back, right? Away from 154. 154 was the Hornets, the Hornet division, a Hornet's nest of a division, and still is to a large point. But 135 is creeping back into the conversation, back where it used to be when Tank was super active, when Devin Haney was chasing to be undisputed and became undisputed, when Lomachenko was there, right? When Shakur had just popped up on the scene, right? When Raymond Morataya was young and gunning and looking to fight everybody, and all these, Floyd Schofield Jr. was a prospect at that time. Abdullah Mason was a prospect. He wasn't even making it on the main card, no less close to becoming a champion and being a champion right now, 21 or 22 years old. We're talking about a generational passing of the guard that's happened right now at 135, and I'm excited to talk about that division in a way that we didn't before. We'll talk about Charles Conwell. Charles Conwell on the call makes his return. A lot of us were asking questions about where Charles Conwell was, what we're expecting from him taking that defeat against Jorge Perez Garcia, or is it Garcia Perez? I don't know. It is what it is. I'm sure you guys are put it together for me in the chat. But that was the last time we saw him, right? About a year ago, right? Or maybe even more than a year ago. I haven't done the math. It is what it is, right? Right? Was it in April? No. April 19th, 2025, right? Was that when he fought last? April 19th, 2025 against George Perez? Garcia? I think it was in April of 2025. So it's not a year yet, but almost a year, right? I don't know. Don't quote me. But at the end of the day, he made his return. Looked great to me. Conversations are circulating in the space right now. Potential fights. Maybe, hold on a second. Hit the button by accident. Maybe against Virgil Ortiz Jr. So we'll talk about what it looks like for Charles Conwell as well. A fighter who's kind of small for the 154-pound division, but too big for 147. Right? Kind of giving me Richard Torres vibes to a certain degree, right? I think Charles Conwell is a better fighter than Richard Torres, but very similar in the fact that Richard Torres seems to be a little too small for the heavyweight division, but maybe he might be too big for the cruiserweight division. Maybe he can't make that weight as easily. I don't know, right? When it comes to it, and the same thing goes with Charles Conwell. If he gets an opportunity, can he afford to turn away from an opportunity to fight a Virgil Ortiz Jr., which a victory against Virgil Ortiz Jr. will put Charles Conwell right back into the conversation that he was in before he took that loss, right? Before he took that loss against George Perez Garcia, he was in the conversation to the winner of the fight between him and George Perez would have arguably been the guy who obviously fought against Xander Zayas for that vacant WBO title, right? That put Xander Zayas right in a position to become a unified champion. That was a big fight. That was a big victory for George Perez Garcia, and arguably should have been Charles Conwell's victory, right? So now he comes back in one loss, right? But he obviously had some regrouping he had to do, and he did that, right? He regrouped, he put it together, and he made the adjustments, just like a William Zepeda, who took somewhat of a hiatus as well, made the adjustments. We'll talk about all those things on this show, ladies and gentlemen. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed to the channel, man. There's a lot to talk about today. I might be solo, dolo, manolo today. It might just be me and you guys. So that being said, the panel will probably open up a little bit earlier. The lines will be open. The Discord lines will be open. I'll be putting the link into the chat as well. After I go through my spiel, we'll see how it ends up looking like. Let me shout out to the people who are in the building, man. Patrick Hausenfleck in the building says, Mason has power, doesn't match well with Zepeda. I'd predict several knockdowns in a fight of that nature, of that nature, with an eventual stoppage late in the bout for Abdullah Mason. I like it. I like it, Patrick. I can honestly see it playing out that way. And we got to talk about it because Abdullah Mason being fast forwarded and moving in a way to where he's having to learn while he's on the job. He does still seem, we saw him struggle with Albert Bell. We saw him struggle with a boxer though, right? We saw him struggle with styles make fights. The last fight that we probably would reference that would look close to what we saw with what we'll see with William Zepeda and Abdullah Mason will probably be the fight he had with Sam Noakes, a fight where he got hit a lot, right? He got hit a lot. But I ain't gonna lie to you guys. I'm evolving with the idea of fighters like Jaron Boots Ennis, Jaleel Hackett, right? Jaleel Hackett had a very a similar performance against Sergey Derevchenko, where some people were complaining, saying he got hit a little too much. He took too many chances. I personally thought that Jaleel was probably the more reserved out of the people that I'm mentioning, where, I don't know, not really. Like Jaron Boots Ennis got hit too as well. Obviously, we saw what happened in the third round with him and Xander Zayas. But Jaron's been getting the criticism, right, of being somebody who has holes in his defense. Even Terrence Crawford highlighting, he just needs to work on his defense a little bit. But you can't take away the victories, right? It's not like he's losing fights or he's even been knocked down or come close to losing a fight. But you would think that at some point or another, somebody is going to bring just enough power to make that difference, to kind of make him pay, humble him a little bit maybe, and make him become a little bit more conscious of the defense, right? Abdullah Mason seems to be in that same conversation, just to bring it full circle, right? Abdullah Mason is somebody on the back end of maybe getting hit too much, maybe being with that appetite of smoke. We are all kind of nervous that might come back and bite him in the ass, but we can't front that. At the end of the day, he's shown and proven that when it's all said and done and the smoke is cleared, Abdullah Mason has always found a way to have his hand raised, and not only raised, but also building up a fan base who is loving this appetite of smoke energy that Abdullah Mason is bringing to the table. So I love the breakdown, Patrick. I think that's very realistic, right? That Zepeda is going to be a fighter who's going to come in with a lot of volume punching, and he's looked like he's added a layer to his game. We'll talk about it, right? Looks like he's added a layer to his game. Going into that fight, we were thinking certain things. I spoke to you guys about what I thought I wanted to see in William Zepeda on the back end of a 12-round fight with Shakur Stevenson, Was he going to get better? Was he going to take that experience and add to his arsenal and bring that? Were we going to see that in the ring, or is he a one-trick pony? And we had questions about Lamont Roach going into that fight as well, as he was looking to get his first victory since he's left the 130-pound division, right? He has not found a victory yet since leaving the 130-pound division as a WBA champion, came up to 135, wasn't able to get the victory against Tank, wasn't able to get the victory against Isak Pitbull Cruz, just kind of been in this purgatory. And what were we going to see in this Lamont Roach fight? We'll talk about it and get specific into it. Let me shout everybody out in the building, man. Patrick Hausenflock says, especially if they were to meet at 140. I hear you, man. Akeem Blake in the building. Salute, says, guidance and blessings, Clay and Angelo. There's a war going on outside. No man is safe from. Let's cook. Yeah, man, there does seem to be a war going outside. It's been going on for a while. It makes boxing interesting for me. If we're talking about the Zuffa boxing, Zuffa Paramount, collaboration versus the DAZN TNT collaboration, and the DAZN and their collective promotional companies that are underneath their platform. And Shakur Stevenson seemed to be leading the fight with Zuffa, and maybe Devin Haney maybe at the front end of leading the fight with DAZN, right? We could paint these pictures and speculate into these different arenas, but at the same time, we're waiting on seeing Conor Benn fight against Ryan Garcia September 12th, a collaboration between DAZN and Paramount, Zuffa, and whatever have you, in Golden Boy Promotions. So is there really a war going on outside, or are we just, trying to make the game interesting for us to have a conversation? I think it's fair play either way, right? It is fair play either way, but, there does seem to be somewhat of a war going on outside. Shout out to Flexing and stepping in the building, said, let's get it cracking. My boy Claymore, what's good, Flex? What's good with you, man? SOB TV in the building says, salute, Claymore. Blessings, brother. Salute to you, man. My brother Sam from Jersey in the building. Sam, what's good with you, man? What's really good? The Radio Boxing Show in the building. What's good, family? Flexing and stepping with the dancing emojis, man. Yeah, we got the tracks to keep them coming back. You know what I'm saying? I just made that up, man. I'm so cool. I'm so hip. I'm almost 50 years old, and I'm still out here doing my thing, you know what I'm saying? RX 3408 in the building says, let's go. We fight all night. TV in the building says, downstairs, upstairs, downstairs, upstairs, no doubt, man. Agent 0777 777 in the building says, salute, Claymore. Eduardo Alvarez in the building, salute, Clay in the chat, was goody. Roger that in the building, salute, Clay. Let's go, ATP. Let's go to the chat, no doubt, man. Let's continue to see, is anybody here I'm missing? My guy, Stock Chasers. Stock Chasers in the building. At the end of the day, salute to my guy, Stock Chasers in the building, man. I'm just somebody. 7692. Let me put some respect on your name. I'm just someone. 7692 in the building says, salute, Clay and Angelo. What's good with you? My brother HLD, profound, outspoken, the most outspoken, the notorious HLD in the building, man.
Listen. That's called motherfucking
you heard?
Nigga.
You heard? Shout out to my guy HLD in the building, man. New York in the building, stand up. Roger that says that judge that had it 100-90 in favor of Curiel was terrible. Judges need to be questioned 100%. We'll talk about that as well. Also, there's some news about Raul Curiel. Looks like that was his last fight on his Golden Boy contract. So where will Raul Curiel go next? He did not make the weight. 147 pounds was the number. I guess he came in at 148. Not a big deal, but you combine that with the fact that he'll be leaving, that he's planning on leaving. Well, I don't know if he's planning on leaving. I just know his contract is done with. Will he go back with Golden Boy, or will he move forward? And if he does move forward, where does he go? Could we see Zuffa in the future of a Raul Curiel? Would Raul Curiel like to get into the welterweight division conversation at Zuffa Boxing that is now pulled in Richardson Hitchens, right? We know that Julian Rodriguez is over there, right? We know that the cross-the-street politics aren't as complicated as we thought they were going to be on the back end of Senate information coming out about how this whole entire Revival Act was going to go through, and that there's going to actually be fighters over at Zuffa competing on the big stage for the traditional space belts. Where will Raul Curiel end up, right? I don't know, right? We could talk about that, right? We could talk about that. It is what it is. K Money in the building say he's 22. Oh, you talking about Abdullah Mason? He's 22, no doubt, man. I appreciate that. Sock Chaser says, I'd like for Mason to separate from the lanes with a nice unification, even if it's after a tune-up. Yeah, man, we could talk about it, man, because Abdullah Mason's had a pretty active, as far as the lightweight division is concerned. He's been fighting the more dangerous competition, right? I mean, Raymond Moritaya did have that fight with Andy Cruz, but, obviously, as competitive as one might want to say the fight was with Robinson Conceição, and I'll say competitive because Conceição is not here to be anybody's stepping stone, right? We're talking about somebody who did pick up a belt off of a victory off of a Shaki Foster. We know, that decision was kind of crazy, but still, just to be even in these conversations, we know he brings that pedigree. He's been in the ring with Shakur Stevenson. He's been in there with Shaki Foster, and even giving Raymond Moritaya 12 good rounds the other night. Still, though, that's not like Abdullah Mason's last 3 fights that he's been in, right? What is it, last 3 fights, right? Oh, well, last 2 fights, right? This one that he just had with Albert Bell, and then obviously picking up that belt off Sam Noakes. But still, him going into a fight with William Zepeda next, I don't know, right? I don't know, man. K Money says, Dula ready for everybody at 135. Yeah, I'm confident. He's still a young guy, though. He's still a young guy, man. You know what I mean? Development is key. Development is key, man. Let me see here. He definitely got to fight Boots. You talking about Kelly? Yeah, Boots going to give Kelly his biggest payday. Yeah, and we're going to talk about that, obviously, right? Shout out to Roger that in the building. Let me see. HLD says every fight Tank accepts is a cherry pick. You know what I mean? Let me see here, man. Can't forget about 147 getting Liddy too for sure, man. Let me go down the list. Is that everybody, man? Business, business in the building. Salute to you, family. Salute, salute, salute. King KO for life said, all rise. The king is in the building. Now let's begin. King KO for life says, I see a shook one in the crowd already. Oh, no. My brother Joe Uso in the building. Joe Uso was good. Shout out to my Uso, man. Says Clay, my Uso was good with you, man. We doing good, man. We doing good, man. Thanks for asking, man. Damian Ward in the building. 4563 in the building. Damian Ward, 4563. Salute to you, man. My brother James Dickinson from the other side of the pond, man, says, big up Claymore. That's an accent. James, I'm always trying to figure out your accent. I've never spoken to you. So it's between, that's my brother, Claymore Rain. That's my Irish, right? That's me doing my Irish thing. And then there's the other one where I'm just thinking like you're like this Jamaican UK guy, right? Who's just like, big up to my breadwin them, Claymore Rain. I'm thinking you're in between there somewhere, right? I don't know. It is what it is. I'm going too far, bro. I'm over here cooking. Joe Uso says, HLD, what up, brother? HL, man, you got a friend in the building, man. HL ain't got too many friends in the building, man. So that's good as somebody. I'm your friend, HLD. That's all you need, brother. You don't need nobody else, but I'm your friend, HL. Top Dog 365 in the bill says, Raul, hella overrated. I used to not think he was overrated, but I ain't gonna lie to you, man. He did look like he got exposed a little bit. We'll talk about it. He did look like he got exposed just a little bit in that fight with Quentin Randall. But listen, Quentin Randall's been known to do that with fighters, right? Quentin Randall brings in that reach, brings in that boxing pedigree, brings in the feet. He's kind of like an Albert Bell to a degree, right? Just, somebody who's there to derail. He just makes the fight difficult, right? You got to figure a way to get past that lead hand. You got to touch that body. You got to take those legs away from him. Raul Curriel made the adjustments in the second half of the fight, started getting to Quentin Randall. But yeah, in the beginning, it was a difficult fight for him, right? So is it Raul's hella overrated, or is it Quentin Randall? We need to give him a little bit more respect than we give him, right? Are we not respecting Quentin Randall? And the same thing with Conceição and Raymond Moritaya, right? Are we not respecting Robson Conceição like we should, right? I don't know. It is what it is, right? Action Replay in the building says, who you think Shakur should fight next, if not Haney? Oh, yeah, we got to talk about that as well. Definitely. We got to talk about the landscape of things for Shakur Stevenson, a fighter going into this weekend. We talked about Shakur Stevenson and Zuffa will probably keeping a close eye on this card with Lamont Roach and Raymond Moritaya, because either one of those guys could be an opponent for Shakur Stevenson, right? Not Robinson Conceição, because Shakur already beat him at 130, and not even William Zepeda. And we'll talk about that as well, because do you guys think that fight would look differently now after seeing what William Zepeda did against Lamont Roach? And, keep not saying that Lamont Roach is the highest level of the game, but just are we willing to acknowledge the adjustments that William Zepeda did and now say that he's even more of a menace at 135? William Zepeda is even more of an issue at 135 because he's compounded the situation on top of the punch volume, the volume of punches that he puts out there and the pressure. But now he's added good footwork. Now he's added very selective with his punches, better with his shot placement, right? He threw 885 punches, I believe, in this fight. His average punch output is 1,200 punches in a fight. So he's gone down a little bit on the output, But dare I say, he's become more menacing now that he's very effective at coming in and out, choosing his spots, using his feet, coming from angles. He has this extra bit of sauce he's put on his approach to the fight game that may be way more complicated than it was before. That being said, would a rematch with Shakur Stevenson be crazy? But then again, we have that WBC conversation as well. Yeah, anyway, it is what it is, right? It is what it is. Let me see, going down the list here. Glory of him, Rich Boxing in the building. Salute, Glory. What's good with you, Rich? What's good with you, Rich? What's good with you? Let me see here, man. My brother HLD says Shakur will be fighting his mandatory Murataya. That's not his mandatory. Oh, he might be. I hear you. Maybe, right? I did hear Gustavo Oliveira potentially say, listen, that's not off the table. That Murataya may get pushed up to 140 and may be able to petition to the WBO, right? Is that what you're talking about, HLD? That he may be petitioning to the WBO potentially to get into the way of Shakur Stevenson. But at the end of the day, does he need to do that? Would Shakur not just give Raymond Murataya the fight, being that he's looking for a dance partner right now, right? And we also got to remember that that Devin Haney fight with Shakur Stevenson may not be off the table. This is a fight that still may happen, because we got to talk about Devin Haney, because on the back end of all the accountability we've put on Keyshawn Davis, there is still an inactivity from Devin Haney that needs to be accounted for. He is needing to be inside that ring, not only just to be active as a fighter, but, you know, listen, man, his light bills and his foreign cars don't stay moving on please and thank you. This man is a prize fighter. So what's the next big fight for Devin Haney? If he truly is looking for the biggest paydays, does that the zone deal kind of answer the question? Can he just go fight anybody? Is it Devin Haney just willing to go ahead and unify with Liam Paro? A lot of us have been talking about him fighting Liam Paro, right? Saying we would love to see that. We'd love to see Devin Haney go ahead and pick up a unification and get back to his old legacy ways, unifying the division, heading for undisputed and things of that nature. But is that what Devin Haney's looking to do right now? As since Regis Prograis, is it fair to say since Regis Prograis, Devin Haney's been very selective about who he fights, not based off of competition. He's not cherry picking, but based off of the payday conversation, right? Devin Haney's looking to make the biggest payday. And is the biggest payday still Shakur Stevenson? We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. Let that sizzle in your spirit. I'm sure the panel would love to speak on that here. Let me see here. Stock Chaser says Zepeda getting a lot more respect from me going forward, even though Roach was so bad. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I don't think Roach was so bad. I don't want to go with that. I thought Roach just went into this one with a bad game plan, right? I mean, he was looking for that big shot. Roach came into this fight with the idea that I'm a bigger puncher than people think I am, and that what the solution is for William Zepeda is not to move around the ring, that actually if you hit him clean, because there's openings in there to hit William Zepeda clean, that you just got to be able to hurt William Zepeda. And Roach came in here thinking that he could hurt William Zepeda and wasn't able to pull that off. And because of that, found himself looking up at it being 9 rounds, right? 10 rounds. Like, damn, man, all this time I've been working on doing this, but Zepeda's been putting me in these rounds, taking these rounds off the board, and now I need a knockout. And it doesn't seem like I have the power. My power is not translating at 135 the way it may have at one point or another at 130. Put himself in a bad situation. But was he so bad? I don't know, man. I just think adjustments, right? Adjustments, game plan, strategies, styles make fights. That's what the conversation is usually about when you get into the best of the best fighting each other. When you're talking about, you know, Shakur Stevenson fighting a Devin Haney, you're talking about the adjustments. I don't think we come out on the back end of that fight saying one guy actually sucks, right? Somebody may get dominated, but we know that we got 2 great fighters in the ring, and more than likely the answer is the strategy was wrong, right? The strategy was wrong, not that one guy sucks. No, it is what it is, right? Let me see here. Go down the list here, see is anybody I'm missing. K-Money. It is what it is, right? So let's talk about it, man. Guys, hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. Let's go ahead and cook and talk about the fights that happened this weekend. So, guys, let's go directly into Now, let's talk about Mark Chamberlain and Pierce O'Leary, guys. Let's talk about Mark Chamberlain and Pierce O'Leary, man. This is a very important fight for me because I'm a big Mark Chamberlain fan. I'm not going to lie to you guys. He's probably my favorite UK fighter. And it's crazy because this guy hasn't become the big star that I thought he'd be by now. I thought he'd be, I thought Turkey was going to take him under his wing and he was just going to become way more popular than he ended up becoming. Keep in mind, I'm sure in the UK he's built somewhat of a fan base. But guys, we can go back in days here. Let me see. Let's go back to March of 2024. That's the first time that I really saw Mark Chamberlain, and that was definitely on a Riyadh season card, right? He was getting ready to fight against Gavin Gwynn on that card. And when I saw him at that time, he was a 135-pound fighter. I thought his story was an amazing story because very similar to Josh Padley's story, this guy was a full-time construction worker, right? He was a plasterer or whatever you want to call it. Like he put up plaster in construction houses and putting up walls, and he was into building houses. So he was a part-time boxer. But when he showed up onto the space, he put on such a clinic against Gavin Gwynn, right? Put on such a clinic, a fourth round stoppage in that fight. And it wasn't about the stoppage, but it was how he was doing it. It was his boxing. I remember me saying like, damn, man, UK might have a 135-pound contender. That this guy could be in the conversation. I remember saying I would love to see Mark Chamberlain against Shakur Stevenson. I'd love to see him against Tank. And I didn't pick him to win any of these fights, but I just thought he was such a game opponent. I was like, man, 135 might have one here. And just hearing that Turki Al-Sheikh had so much interest in him, I was like, man, I haven't seen him before. This was my first time seeing him. I didn't see him in other fights, but I was very impressed with the pedigree that I saw in the ring and just understanding his story at the time, that he wasn't a full-time fighter. I was like, man, now he's going to be a full-time fighter. That's what the story was. I thought he was going to be that much better. But what did Mark Chamberlain do? He decided to go up in weight. And that's significant. The reason that's significant, guys, is because on the back end, let's look at Josh Padley, for example, who had a very similar story. When Josh Padley became a full-time boxer, he actually went down in weight, right? And that makes sense. Why does it make sense? It makes sense because it's hard to cut weight. You got to be on a strict nutrition program. You got to be training a certain consistency of training behind what you're doing. And maybe somebody who has a full-time job can't commit to something like that. And that's why you saw Josh Padley competing at 135. Maybe even, I think when he fought Mark Chamberlain, because they also fought each other, I think it was like 139, 140 they fought at. So that's on the back end of just not being able to do this full-time, right? So I would think that Mark Chamberlain going full-time would stay at 135, the division where I saw him be a monster in. But he decided to go up in weight. On the back end of going up in weight, he fights again 2 months later in May of 2024 and gets a first-round stoppage over Joshua, a long middle name and last name that I won't even try to pronounce right now. And he gets a first-round stoppage. Yeah, that was 135 pound. Then he moves on and gets into that fight with Josh Padley, a fight that I didn't even know who Josh Padley was like, really. I thought that was really just food for Mark Chamberlain at that point, who was being built up, from what I could tell, to be one of those guys. But Josh Padley put on a hell of a masterclass performance and ended up beating Mark Chamberlain. I believe he actually put Mark Chamberlain down in that fight, right? Like, I think he actually put him down. Like, maybe it was just a flash knockdown, whatever it was. But at that point, it seems like the wind came out of Mark Chamberlain's sails. He just wasn't the same fighter. Guys, fast forward, he gets a tune-up fight. He's fighting at 140. Fight of the year candidate against Jack Rafferty, right, that he had last year. Went to a full draw. We saw Jack Rafferty move on from there, go up to 147, put on a masterclass performance and stop Echo Usman, right? Beautiful performance by Jack Rafferty. So that fight aged a little bit better, saying, okay, Mark Chamberlain is definitely up in that conversation to take Jack Rafferty into a situation where he got a draw with Jack Rafferty, right? But this fight right here was another opportunity for Mark Chamberlain to show up and show out. He actually came into this fight with Pierce O'Leary as the underdog in this fight. Guys, I watched this fight Sunday morning, and I'm telling you guys, I was just like, this is the fight I wish I could have called, man. I was watching this fight, just sitting in my room, eating breakfast, right? And just sitting on my bed, just watching this fight. And I'm like, this fight was just chef's kiss. A fight that had ups and downs. Mark Chamberlain put Pierce O'Leary down. I think it was in like round 3 or 4. Put him down. Maybe you could say flash knockdown, whatever you want to say, but Pierce O'Leary started to find that backhand. His right hand started finding Mark Chamberlain's body, started finding Mark Chamberlain. As we always see when the southpaw fights the orthodox fighter, we know that backhand is the big hand. That's the hand you got to watch out for. As long as you can get the footwork right, that backhand is more effective than even your lead hand at times. And O'Leary started to find Mark Chamberlain's body with that right hand. And later on in that fight, put Mark Chamberlain down off a body shot, a big liver shot that he put him down with. Those knockdowns are always the most interesting knockdowns because we know that body shots, liver shots stay with you, right? You don't just get knocked down real quick and shake that off. So Mark Chamberlain was pretty much fighting back against an O'Leary who knew he hurt Mark Chamberlain and also found that right hand, found his second gear in that fight. And Mark Chamberlain at one point or another looked like he might be getting ready to lose this fight. Each one of them had a knockdown. Well, O'Leary got knocked down twice, but still, O'Leary started to find his way in that fight. Mark Chamberlain bit down on his gum shield, did the work he needed to do. They were exchanging. I mean, what a shootout it was. But we end up seeing Mark Chamberlain go ahead and stop Pierce O'Leary with a knockdown. When was the knockdown? Was it in the 10th round? I think it was in the 10th round, right? I believe it was a 10th round knockdown. Right? It was a 10th round knockdown, if I'm correct. Let me see here if I wrote it down. I don't remember. I think it was a 10th round knockdown. Fight of the year, guys. If you didn't see that fight, that's on you, right? If you didn't see that fight, that's on you. Mark Chamberlain, and it looks like Pierce O'Leary did have a rematch clause in place, as any champion should, right? That he had that rematch in place. And we'll be looking forward to see what that comes out with. I think Frank Warren put on a great card. That probably was the best card of the weekend. Just production and everything all around. Dublin, Ireland, right? Showed up and show out just like the UK does consistently for their stars. That's what they do, and that's what they did for this fight. Mark Chamberlain might have put himself on the map, and although he only picked up an IBO title, that's what he ended up picking up, which is funny as well. That's the title he picked up in that fight. It is what it is. Ireland respects it, but I'm also interested in his presence at 140. Can Mark Chamberlain continue to operate behind this momentum? Because I think there was a little bit of a lack of discipline from Mark Chamberlain getting that deal from getting that payday that made it to where he didn't have to be a construction worker anymore. He didn't transition into the professional space mentally probably where he needed to be. He seems more dialed in now at 140 now. Does the UK have a legitimate contender? And I would love personally, and I'll ask you guys when I open up the panel later, you guys can answer that question. I could see Mark Chamberlain doing a lot of things at 140. The same way we're seeing Dalton Smith shake it up at 140 right now as a WBC champion. Mark Chamberlain, he may be just 2 or 3 fights away from being in the conversation of being one of the biggest 140-pound superstars that they have over there to fight against the American fighters we have here, whether it be a Gary Antoine Hiroka or, Gary Antoine Russell, I was going to say, or a Handy Hiroka, or a Tito, Ernesto Tito Mercado, or any of these fighters that we have at 140 pounds right now. It could be very interesting. And shit, maybe even a Keyshawn Davis if he comes back to, well, who knows, right? What Keyshawn is doing, right? And obviously, at the same time, all the usual suspects that are there at 140 as far as Shakur Stevenson and things of that nature are concerned, right? I like what I saw from Mark Chamberlain. Looking forward to see what happens next. Obviously, the rematch is what we'll be embracing. That's the idea that we'll be looking forward to see. I think that fight is a must-see fight the next time around. Probably going to be a big fight, I'm sure. Will it be in Ohio or will it be in, I believe he said, Portsmouth, England, which is where Mark Chamberlain is from? That's probably where it should be, right? If we're going to respect the champion. But that rematch is build up some steam. Looking forward to see what happens in that one next, right? That being said, get away from that card because we don't have all that time in the world. Let's talk about the William Zepeda Lamont Roach fight. I want to jump right into that fight, right? Because on the back end of that fight, and we don't really need to talk about Raymond Murataya as much as what he's going to do next. I don't think the Robinson can say, what is going on here? My phone is just ringing, doing what it feels like. Hold on one second. Let me put this thing in Do Not Disturb so we don't have to keep dealing with this. My phone goes off all day long. There we go. Do Not Disturb. But let's talk about William Zepeda and Lamont Roach. Guys, going into this fight with William Zepeda and Lamont Roach, we talked about that here. We broke that down. The panel talked about it, and we talked about the adjustments. I told you guys, William Zepeda coming off that Shakur Stevenson fight, that might have been the best fight he could have ever had as far as experience is concerned. 12 rounds with Shakur Stevenson. You're going to come out either better or you're going to come out mentally a defeated fighter, right? Even on the back end of Shakur Stevenson and Teofimo Lopez, we have to see the adjustments Teofimo Lopez makes, right? Being in a fight for 12 rounds with Shakur Stevenson is, some might argue it being a boxing lesson, right? A fight that will expose you in a way that you can't argue with, right? You can get into a fight with somebody and it be a shootout And you can argue, oh man, anybody can get punched. Anybody can get clipped. Do I need to make adjustments like that? Nah, that was just a war. That's how wars go. You can't win all the wars. But when you get in the ring with a Shakur Stevenson, there's a certain pedigree in there where you'll be exposed to a level to where there may be even a little bit of humiliation, right? Just understand, like, damn it, that guy was just fundamentally way sounder than me. And that's the type of fight that inspires and motivates a fighter to go back into his bag, to make adjustments. And William Zepeda took a year and some change off from that fight in the Louis Armstrong Arena in New York, right? And he had to go back and really think about what it is, look in the mirror, have a conversation with himself and say, how am I going to compete at this high level if I don't make these adjustments? And shout out to Coach Panda, who's in the same boat with William Zepeda. They had some adjustments they were going to make. And that was a question that I had going into the fight. What kind of adjustments did they make? Because up until Shakur Stevenson, William Zepeda was dominating to a large degree, right? Now, we remember how competitive those fights were between William Zepeda and Tevin Farmer. But for the most part, up until that point, Golden Boy had to be very confident that they had a champion on their hands in William Zepeda. And that would be in the big conversations of fighting a Shakur Stevenson or fighting a Gervonta Tank Davis or fighting the Isak Pitbull Cruz or any of the other quote-unquote big fights that you would consider to be out there at that time in the lightweight division. But Shakur Stevenson exposed a lot in that fight with William Zepeda. Lamont Roach, on the other hand, there is an argument there to say Lamont Roach going into that fight on the back end of fighting an Isak Pitbull Cruz, maybe that was the best fighter he could have been in the ring with to get himself ready for a high-volume puncher, flat-footed, come-forward, Mexican-style boxer in William Zepeda. But shout out to my brother Ray Davis. We had a conversation here on the platform when we talked about William Zepeda is levels above Isak Pitbull Cruz. And I think people weren't acknowledging. I know Angelo didn't necessarily see that, didn't see it the same when we talked about it, but we talked about the fact that William Zepeda was a fighter who had way more pedigree than Isak Pitbull Cruz. And I said that the question was going to be, was William Zepeda going to be able to make those adjustments? And I told you guys, pick and choose, box, and in spurts have those high volume punching fits that we known him to have, not to be one-dimensional. Even Lamont Roach talked about that. He thought William Zepeda was going to be a one-dimensional fighter. So we all were kind of seeing it for what it was. But the question was William Zepeda going to be able to make those adjustments? And also from Lamont Roach's point of view, what did he learn from the Isak Pitbull Cruz fight? What did he walk away with from that fight? And were those adjustments going to play out for Lamont Roach into finally getting a signature victory since he's left at 130 against a gained William Zepeda? But we got our answers, right? We got our answers in that fight. When we saw that William Zepeda added the footwork, he did take into consideration what it was to fight against a slick black fighter. And he made those adjustments. And those adjustments showed up in a way to where an ill-prepared Lamont Roach, who didn't expect William Zepeda to be able to step up his game that way, to somewhat be exposed to a large degree, right? And not have any answers. We saw William Zepeda put the whole entire 135-pound weight class division on notice. Now a WBC champion, and maybe considered one of the veterans amongst the young bulls like Abdullah Mason, against potentially a young bull like Floyd Schofield Jr. if he beats Lucas Body, right? Against even a young Hadir Herrera, right? Who's an interim title holder for that WBC title, may very well be getting ready to petition, right? To get an opportunity to fight for his title. He could argue, say, listen, I fought for that same title that made him the mandatory for Shakur Stevenson. Me, Hadir Herrera, I have that title. So you guys jumped over me and made this fight, but I'm holding this title with aspirations to becoming a full champion. So Hadir Herrera can now jump into that conversation as well. But William Zepeda definitely being the veteran, the guy with that resume on the back end of a Raymond Moratai fight that we'll get into as well. What does that mean for the division? Is William Zepeda, can we see William Zepeda get on this run right now? Is he the favored, the A-side favorite in most of these fights from William Zepeda, outside of a Tank Davis and a Shakur Stevenson? But even a fight with Raymond Moratai seems like it'd be way more competitive now than I would have thought it would have been before me seeing this performance from William Zepeda. Without a doubt, shaking up the space. The Mexican fan base has got to be very excited because they got themselves another champion. The WBC has to be excited. We know that that belt has big ties with the Mexican community. Shout out to Mauricio Suleiman. They definitely got one with William Zepeda, right? So let's go ahead and get into the Raymond Morataya fight as well against Robinson Conceição. Guys, going into that fight, I asked the question to Angelo and to the community. What the hell is Raymond Morataya still doing at 135 pounds? Why is this guy still there at 135 pounds? What is he doing there? He been arguably grown out that division, right? Hold on 1 second, guys. I got some. 1 second, guys. My bad, guys. We're back at it. We're back again. Right? So what I leave off? Why was Raymond Morataya still at 135? Right? Why is this guy still at 135 pounds? And there was no secret that Shakur Stevenson, who had just signed this big deal with Zuffa Boxing, was looking for a dance partner. I mean, it's clear, right? And we saw Robert Garcia talk about Shakur Stevenson coming over to the Robert Garcia gym and talking about potentially how Shakur Stevenson said he was very interested in finding Raymond Morataya. Guys, we saw Shakur Stevenson talk about potentially going back down to 135. He said that although he's not into the belts that way, he was interested in potentially picking up another lineal title. Shakur sits on 2 lineal titles now, right? One at 130, one at 140 after being Teofimo Lopez. You know, naturally at 135, if he could get that opportunity and a big payday, would that be a fight that attracted Shakur Stevenson? And I think Shakur, speaking that way to Robert Garcia, maybe had Raymond Morataya try to stay in the division for one more fight, right? Let's see if we can get this big payday. Raymond Morataya, who's campaigned at 135 and worked his tail off to finally pick up an IBF title, unfortunately, on the back end of a 10-pound rehydration clause, has made it very difficult for Raymond Morataya to keep his position locked in at 135. But he wants to get that payday. All these fighters want that, right? You don't want to work that hard to pick up a title and then not get the big fight, not get the big payday. And it seems like that fight may be closer than it's ever been for Raymond Morataya. So he stays in the division for one more fight, picks up a title defense against Robinson Conceição, a fighter who was coming up from 130 pounds. We've seen Robinson Conceição in the ring with Shakur Stevenson. We've seen him in the ring with O'Shaquie Foster, right? We know that there is a pedigree, an Olympian pedigree about him. And that fight had the potential to be as competitive as we might have saw it happen on Saturday. Raymond Morataya pulls out the fight. And listen, the fight isn't that much to speak about, right? Robinson Conceição, at the end of the day, is a legitimate test for anybody that he fights against. So, you know, we can argue that Robinson Conceição will be a gatekeeper of sorts, right? If you want to test your fighter at 135, listen, and you want a decent fight, put him in there with Robinson Conceição. He'll let you know what kind of fighter you have on your hands. Needless to say, Raymond Morataya takes that victory. On the back end of that victory, Raymond Morataya announces that he's going to 140, which makes sense to me. He doesn't want to continue to deal with that rehydration clause, but he left a door opening, right? Robert Garcia spoke on and said that he's still willing to hang back and potentially make a unification fight, maybe even against a William Zepeda, right? The main event winner. Maybe get that fight as a big fight. Because once that unification gets into the conversation, we're no longer talking about rehydration clauses. Maybe that will keep Raymond Morataya back. But also, on top of that, the Shakur Stevenson opportunity. I got a question for you guys because I'm not too sure about this. I wasn't able to really figure this out. Maybe somebody in the building will be able to answer this for me. But if he were to fight Shakur Stevenson, and it would be for a lineal title, does that remove the rehydration clause? Because I think that may play a factor here in the idea behind whether or not Raymond Morataya would stay at 135 to fight Shakur Stevenson. Or could Raymond Morataya potentially vacate the IBF title and still be the number 2 in the division? And could Shakur Stevenson and Raymond Morataya fight for a lineal title exclusively? That would eliminate the rehydration clause. That's a huge for both fighters, right? Shakur gets a fight for a third lineal title. And of course, Raymond Morataya gets his first fight against a pound for pound fighter. and for a lineal title. So Raymond Moritaya on the back end of a victory against Shakur Stevenson would pick up a spot as far as the top 10 pound for pound list is concerned, and would also pick up his first lineal title. Would that make sense for Raymond Moritaya, or does it make more sense at this point for Raymond Moritaya to go ahead and move up to 140 pounds? And, like HLD spoke on earlier, does he petition to become a mandatory or get in the rankings of the WBO to fight Shakur Stevenson at 140? We'll watch that play out. You guys let me know. We'll open up the panel a little bit later. You let me know what you guys think about that as well. But back to the 135-pound division, we just watched William Zepeda do what he did. Guys, that was a TNT fight card, right? That was a second TNT fight card. The first one we watched Abdullah Mason do what he did with Albert Bell. So if you've been watching boxing as closely as I've been watching, and if you've been here on this platform watching us call these fights, you can't help but say, Abdullah Mason versus William Zepeda would be a super interesting fight. Quite frankly, I mean, we're talking about a shootout, clearly, right? As we know, Abdullah Mason has this appetite for smoke, and we see what William Zepeda does when he gets in the ring with his high volume output punching. But now with this new wrinkle to William Zepeda's game, it makes the fight that much more interesting. Abdullah Mason, a young 22-year-old champion, the youngest champion in the space right now. Is William Zepeda too much for Abdullah Mason? Is he too much at this point? You guys let me know. I don't know. I still pick Abdullah Mason to win that fight, but I do think there's a lot of opportunities in there for William Zepeda to derail and upset at this point. Maybe would that even be considered an upset, Abdullah Mason? He needs to potentially work on some of the defensive holes that he has in his game that we've seen him have. A fighter like William Zepeda throwing 5 to 7 punch combinations in any given Sunday, touching the body, level changing, not just head hunting. And now with this new wrinkle to his game where he's using the angles, he's using the feet, it could be very complicated for Abdullah Mason, right? It is what it is. Will TNT push for this fight to happen? Will the Zone push Matchroom? Will the Zone push Golden Boy and Top Rank to make this fight happen? Because we're seeing the Zone now getting very hands-on with the matchmaking now for the big fights. As like my brother Akeem Blake said earlier on this chat, there is a war going on outside where the Zone is trying to put on the biggest fights, and they're not trying to hear their cross-the-street politics, and it doesn't look like anybody is safe from the competition. Nobody's safe. Nobody can be maneuvered anymore. It's very difficult for these promoters to hide their best fighters. It seems like the Zone is requiring all hands on deck, all of your biggest fighters, all the biggest fights. We don't want to hide none of these guys. We're sitting here trying to compete with a Zuffa business model that is making their model on the back end of we want the best to fight the best matchmaking, the most competitive fights. Everybody's has to go. There's no more protective system in there anymore, right? Does Top Rank stand up for Abdullah Mason in this conversation and say, listen, we don't want to move our fighter like that. He's already given you guys a big event. We want Abdullah Mason to get a soft touch. We want to continue to develop him. Although he's a champion, he's still a young champion, right? I was almost about to insult him and say prospect contender, but he's not a prospect. He's a champion, right? He's not even a contender. He's a champion, and probably one of the most dominant champions in the space right now. But still, he's been on a run right now. At what point does he get a breather, right? And William Zepeda at the same exact time. Are there big fights for William Zepeda to make outside of Abdullah Mason? Probably, right? Good fights. Like I said, Hadir Herrera could be right there as somebody who's arguably deserving of a fight that he's holding an interim title. Maybe that should be the next fight for William Zepeda. And that would be a great and entertaining fight as well, right? The rest of the division is cooking as well on the back end of Floyd Schofield Jr. versus Lucas Body being announced to be ordered, right? So we should be expecting a purse bid of some sort. From what I understand, maybe like mid-August, we should start getting some information as far as how that's going to go, as far as negotiations are concerned, and as far as whether or not there will be a purse bid on that, or will somebody just pick up that fight, right? Will they figure it out? Will Golden Boy just pay for the fight? Will, whoever's working with Lucas Body pick up that fight? You know what I mean? We got to see. But the division is getting very interesting, right? You got all these fighters in the division right now. Like I said, Lamont Roach, we need to talk about where he goes next, but he's still in the division for now until does he go back to 130? Does he go up to 140? Does he stay at 135? And of course, there's two guys that I talked to you guys about, Alan Chavez and Sam Noakes, which I think are also a big part of the conversation. Alan Chavez looks like a beast in that division. And Sam Noakes, we haven't seen him since he had that fight with Abdullah Mason. No doubt he's probably making adjustments as well, right? It is what it is. Shout out to my guy, Edward Torres says MVP going to win that. Maybe, yeah. Maybe MVP picks that up. Oh, that's right. Lucas Body's with MVP, right? That makes sense. Maybe. I don't know, right? Maybe. I like that. It is what it is. But the division is cooking, man. The division is cooking. Very excited to see what ends up happening with the lightweight division now with this new version of William Zepeda. Oh, yeah, and more news that came out. It looks like the Philip Ergovich fight versus Moses Atama will now have that IBF title on the line right now. So at the end of that fight, we'll have another IBF champion, no doubt it. Undoubtedly, the heavyweight division looking to kick it back off now that Alexander Usyk has gone ahead and vacated those titles. Jeet Caballero has been elevated to a full WBC champion. We know Murat Gasayev, I want to say is his name, holding that WBA title down. Obviously, we have Daniel Dubois holding that WBO title, and at the end of this one, we'll have a IBF champion. I'll be favoring Moses Atama, obviously, to win that fight, but the division becomes interesting because at that point, are we looking at unifications, and could we potentially see an undisputed champion, by the end of 2027 sometime, right? If we can get all these guys in the ring with each other, right? It is what it is. Shout out my guy Chico 84510 in the building with the $2. Says if Cameron William Zepeda can win 4 rounds, versus Shakur, he can win 7 versus Mason. Yeah, but Mason has the power to stop him, right? And William Zepeda does get hit. You know what I mean? Lamont was able to hit him. If Lamont was able to hit William Zepeda, will Abdullah Mason be able to? And some of those shots that Lamont hit William Zepeda, the difference was the power, right? If the power was there, Lamont, if he had the power of Abdullah Mason, how would that fight have looked? And keep in mind with Abdullah Mason, his team, when you look at Ibrahim Mason, his younger brother, Ibrahim brings that pedigree. So it kind of exposes what's going on in that gym. And I'll use an example, right? I'll say when you look at Sebastian Fundora, right? Sebastian Fundora was somebody who wasn't really using his lead hand or his physical attributes the way we wanted to see him do it. But every time I saw Gabrielle Fundora in the ring, I saw her use her lead hand. I saw her use her range. So what did that tell me? It let me know that they were working on those things in the gym, right? That Sebastian just didn't pick it up as quick as Gabrielle Fundora did. Abdullah Mason, him and his brothers, they all fight. And when you watch Ibrahim Mason fight, you see the pedigree in Ibrahim Mason, which means what? They're working on those things, which means Abdullah Mason could be very well capable of boxing better than he does. He could be just choosing to fight the appetite for smoke type of fight, right? The same way with Jalil Hackett. We saw Jalil Hackett show us boxing when he fought against Sergey Derevchenko, right? In those first 3 to 5 rounds, he was using that jab, level changing, touching the body, using his feet, right? Picking his angles. He was boxing the Olympian Sergey Derevchenko, who was arguably the better boxer in that fight going into it. And we saw him win those boxing wars. So he showed that there's levels and there's levels and wrinkles to his game that he just hasn't shown because he's choosing to fight a certain way. Abdullah Mason may very well be in that same conversation. A fighter who has a lot more wrinkles to his game, but is just choosing to entertain the crowd right now. The same thing with Jerron Boots Ennis, right? To bring him up in the same conversation. To say Jerron Boots Ennis has shown us this appetite for smoke. He likes to get it in, but we clearly can see that we know there's a pedigree about him, that he can box if he wants to. He can work behind that jab. He can control the range. He doesn't have to participate in the melee, in the exchanges, which opens him up to being hit with some clean shots from time to time. He chooses to fight the way he does. Is Abdullah Mason underneath that same umbrella of a fighter? Or William Zepeda will potentially at least force Abdullah Mason to show us those wrinkles. And because he has that power, it doesn't have to go to a line share of 12 rounds, right, Chico? It doesn't have to go to 7 out of 12 rounds. It can be stopped in between 5 to 7 rounds. It might not even make it past 7 rounds because Abdullah Mason brings that power. And I don't know that we've seen William Zepeda inside the ring with a puncher like an Abdullah Mason. Who's he been in the ring for real with? You know what I mean? When you think about the fights that he's been in with, even Tevin Farmer was able to put William Zepeda down in his pockets, and Tevin Farmer's not the biggest puncher, especially at 135, right? Especially at 135. So Abdullah Mason brings that element, that wrinkle to his game that makes a difference. It makes the difference on how that fight may go. But once again, sometimes it takes pressure to make diamonds. It takes the situation. It takes the stylistic clash to force a fighter to evolve into his next chapter, into his best season, even as we can tell with the William Zepeda fight on the back end of a loss, right? So even on the back end of a loss against Shakur Stevenson, it forced William Zepeda to become a better fighter. Has Abdullah Mason had that moment? Was the Albert Bell fight a moment enough for Abdullah Mason to where he had to be, is he being more honest with himself? Or is he saying what he said at the end of that fight, which is he fought that fight on purpose, that he could have did something to Albert Bell, but he didn't do that because Albert Bell's is an Aki, right? A Muslim brother. I didn't want to hit him and hurt him unnecessarily. Really? So it wasn't that Albert Bell was exposing you and outboxing you and controlling that fight with that jab and taking away all your weapons. It wasn't that you were being outclassed. Well, that being said, words are powerful. If you're not going to make the adjustments because you don't need to make the adjustments, maybe William Zepeda might be the fight that might force you to make those adjustments. Maybe William Zepeda is that stylistic clash. Or was Sam Noakes enough? Did the Sam Noakes fight give Abdullah Mason enough experience for him to make those adjustments? William Zepeda will expose all those things. Another fight where adjustments will have to be made. Both fighters at a high level, and on the back end of it, as fans of boxing, we win more than anything else, right? We definitely win. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Oh, Coach, you in the building. Coach, I don't know if you're available, but hit the link if you want, man. For sure, Coach. Love to build with you today on these cards this weekend. Love to build with you on the 147-pound conversation right now. I know Rohan Polanco is there. Devin Haney is free right now. I don't know what kind of conversations you're getting into right now, you know what I'm saying, on the back end of what's happened at 147 with this whole entire Keyshawn Davis situation. But it does seem like there might be some opportunities that have opened up. So, Coach, if you want to hit that link, there it is for sure, man. Shout out to my brother Chico, 84510, where the super chat came in again and said, we seen them both knocked down. Body attack is key. I agree. Without a doubt, William Zepeda. Listen, Chico, if you're picking William Zepeda to win this fight, I ain't going to argue with you because I think you have a legitimate argument without a doubt. I do believe that Abdullah Mason brings those intangibles as well, right? I mean, even on the idea of what Abdullah loves to do, which is fight on the inside, that benefits both guys, right? William Zepeda loves to fight on the inside, but at the same exact time, when he's on the inside, he's letting his hands go. That could be dangerous against a puncher like Abdullah Mason, who's also going to let his hands go and has bad intentions on the back of his punches. Now, I agree with you that we've seen Abdullah be knocked down as well, that he gets a little careless inside there too. And if anybody can knock him down, so can William Zepeda. But we also watch Abdullah Mason get right back up and stop an opponent who put him down. And William Zepeda got put down against Tevin Farmer. He did get up, but, he fought differently without a doubt. You know what I mean? There's an argument there that Tevin Farmer won that particular fight, which is why they had to have that rematch. They didn't have to, but they chose to have that rematch, right? There was enough of a light bulb that went off on Oscar De La Hoya to was like, before we throw you in there with Shakur, let's just make sure you kind of got this figured out. Let's put you back in there with Tevin Farmer, being that Tevin Farmer was supposed to be getting him ready to fight Shakur, right? So, I mean, look, there's all these extra variables, intangibles in the conversation that make these fights very interesting, right? Very hard to just sit there and go completely one way versus the other way, right? It is what it is. Shout out my brother HLD in the building. HL, what's good, famo?
What's going on, Mano? How we doing, bro? How we doing,
man? Doing good, man. Breaking it down. Looks like you're my co-host today, man. Looks like you might be my co-host today, man.
It's all good, man. I love it, man. I love it. And nobody will get in their feelings today on the panel.
yeah, I mean they'll be up. I'm sure at some point they'll pop up. You know what I'm saying?
Yo, we gotta hear Coach Bermuda. I heard he's in the chat, and WBO president responded to his fighter's name yesterday with an emphatic no, and a reason why that I've always been saying you got to know how to play the game within the sanctioning bodies. If you really come up here, that'd be awesome. But now we're gonna talk about it. But
no, it was a good interview. He talked about the opponents, right? That he didn't have the He didn't have the
You have to fight.
opponent.
Just because you're ranked high in a sanctioning body does not give you mandatory status. It doesn't give you that automatically. For an example, right now he mentioned Norman Jr. Yeah, by default, Norman Jr. is now number one, but he came off a loss and he didn't fight a ranked fighter. That does not give him the qualifications for mandatory. You have to fight somebody who's ranked. And so when they mentioned Polanco, he had an emphatic no. Why? Because he's not fighting top 10 WBO ranked fighters or top 15 to move up in that space. And that's what happened with Hitchens. I mean, he fought. He wasn't ranked. Yes, he's coming from 140 being a champion, but he wasn't ranked. But he fought in number 11 Salas. I don't know if he was ranked 11, but he was ranked 11, and that got him into the rankings now with the WBO. So the same thing. Anybody who's within a sanctioning body, you got to learn how to play the game. And if you don't know, you just think, oh, he's just fighting bugs, but because they're paying him, oh yeah, they're getting the opportunity. No, is that they know how to move their fighters, and you don't. And you got to know how to play the game with each sanctioning body. I always say choose one sanctioning body and play the game through so that you understand how it works. So that you get your fighter up and moving. But a lot of these guys don't know that.
But I would say that maybe there's an argument there to say that they've been moving him as best as they can, right? That he's not, the fights that he needs to get himself up the rankings the proper way. Those fighters are fine. Their promoters are, not allowing them to get in the ring with a Rohan Polanco. Rohan Polanco is a very dangerous fighter who doesn't bring a big fan base. So unfortunately, his opportunities come on the back end of last minute replacements, right? He gets his opportunities off of like the misfortunes of somebody else who gets injured, or you know what I'm saying? And he has to kind of be ready to go. He doesn't get that full, 3-month, 2-month camp, you know what I'm saying, to get ready for his biggest fight, because he doesn't bring that it factor that gives him opportunities, right?
I give him a name that'll give him that recognition real quick.
Who?
Go fight Norman Jr.
I agree with you, right? But will Norman Jr. take that fight?
Hell yeah, he would.
Number one. Is he going to do it? I mean, listen, I think Coach would take that fight in a second. I think Rohan Polanco, I think Coach would fight Brian Norman Jr. in 2 seconds, right?
Yeah, because Norman Jr. will not be in mandatory position anytime soon. And Haney yesterday himself said, I ain't interested. So the only way he's going to get to that position if he's forced in with a mandatory.
But how much is Norman Jr. going to want after taxes for that fight?
No, Norman Jr. don't play like that. No, man, he leveraged his championship belt. That's what he did last time. He's not a champion now.
There's no history that indicates someone like Norman with the potential opportunities there will take a risk like Rohan Polanco. Who's taking a risk like that?
He fought Santillán, who was the number one guy at the time.
He had nothing to lose in that one.
He was the underdog in that one. That was not taking him as a tune-up. That wasn't Brian Norman Jr. taking a chance. That was him going for it because he was on his last leg.
He knew Top Rank was going to drop him if he lost that.
Get Norman Jr. on here and let him tell you himself. I ain't going to speak for him.
I would love to hear from him.
I'm not talking about Norman Jr.
Hold on a second, Drew. We got Coach Hector Bermudez in the building, man. We ain't going to talk about his fighter like he ain't up in the
míralo ahí, apareció.
Coach, what's good, Coach?
How's the audio?
Oh, you sound good, man. You're doing good, man. I'm glad you popped up on here, man.
Oh, good. I'm out here.
I see you moving around in the 11s. What we pushing out there, Coach? How we living? Listen, Coach, I was looking at plane tickets. I'm telling you, I'm working my way. I was talking to the wife. I'm definitely trying to make that happen. So I ain't playing. Not last night, the night before last night, I was looking at it. I'm trying to come out there. So, you know what I mean? Trying to come see what's popping in Springfield.
You let me know. You don't got to look for plane tickets, man. I got points, man.
Oh, shit. That's right. I forget you all over the place.
You don't got no excuses, man.
Oh, no doubt. We'll talk about that offline, Coach. We'll talk about that offline because I'll definitely look at it. But Coach, man, the 147-pound division has it feels like it's been shaken up a little bit on the back end of this Keyshawn Davis situation, and it looks like maybe some opportunities might have opened up in there for a fighter like Rohan Polanco. And I was just telling everybody that Rohan's the kind of fighter who has to be ready for these type of opportunities, right? He doesn't get moved accordingly. He has to wait on somebody's misfortune. You know what I'm saying? And he has to be ready at all times. And I know you pride yourself on keeping him ready at all times because you know that what it is. So that being said, on the back end of all this news and controversy and Twitter war nonsense, Glovegate bullshit going on, is there something that that you're looking at maybe there for Rohan Polanco at this point at 147?
We just took a little bit of advantage. We went up in the ranking because of Keyshawn went down. So I guess that's a plus for us. Plus, someone said earlier about how the WBO president emphatically said.
Yeah, he did. It was crazy. He did.
I saw that. I was like, damn.
I was too. Hey, coach, I was too. I was like, damn.
We all said, damn. Anybody who's had a close enough relationship with Coach Hector Bermudez, and we all heard it, we all backed over the screen like,
yeah, I was like, damn, bro.
He could have just said it nicer, right, Coach? He could have been like, I don't know, we got to look at that. He was like, nah, hell nah.
But now hell no, right?
Yeah, but there's no WBO don't have mandatories. I mean, they don't have elimination.
No.
And the way that the guy asked was, would Rohan Polanco be eligible for elimination bout? And the way he said no, he said no to the elimination because there's no such thing in the WBO for elimination. But the way he said it, I think he took pride in saying no to. It sounded too rough. Like he wanted to say that,
it had bad intention on it, without a doubt. It felt I heard it immediately when he said it. It made me concerned because it felt like I've seen like a job to be available at a job place, and the supervisor gets asked about an employee and he's like, not that dude, hell no. Like, what? Damn, you got an issue with homie? Like, he can't come up. Hey, bro, not him. Go next, bro. Next, bro.
Stay on the Friday. You're not going to be the shift manager, motherfucker.
Woo! It got crazy. I don't know. It felt like
but I'm going to give him a little grace. All right, but Gustavo was a little annoyed because there was a bunch of chumps in the chat saying a lot of dumb shit too. So he was.
No, but there is history there though. Because he got mad at us one time.
That's the question I was going to ask. Thank you. Because I was going to say, what is it, Coach? Something is there. Talk to us, Coach, about what that was about.
First of all, you hit it on the head when you backed up away from the screen where he said no, like. That's exactly what I did. I was like, God damn, that's it.
Te tiró una chancleta, bro.
Yeah. Hey, my feelings don't get hurt like that, but I was like, ouch.
I mean, it had to make you feel like, should we even bother? Should we like, what are we even out here doing at this point? If that's how the president of the organization that's controlling this feels about us, do we even bother at this point? Like, how do we move from here, from that emphatic? What is emphatic?
But Coach Hector said there was history. We'd like to know what that history is.
Talk to us, Coach.
Now, it was a little BS history that we didn't bring it. We didn't bring the belt to the weigh-ins one time, and it started where we didn't wear a patch. We didn't wear a WBO patch because the guy that was making the outfit was one of these guys. He's very, very talented. He's my guy, but I always say he's like the most unreliable person because he makes the best stuff. But, man, he have you sweating over when you're going to get it. And lo and behold, we in the locker room, I'm wrapping Polanco hand, and the outfit is coming in.
Oh, wow.
So now they give us the patches. We don't have no problem wearing the patches. It even look nice to have a WBO patch on your trunks. So we just got the outfit, like, in the locker room. No one has time to put no motherfucker. No one's thinking about putting no patch on. And we just got it. So when we came out, we in the ring, we looked at the assistant, this little dark-skinned Puerto Rican dude. And he's like, no, excuse me. I was in the locker room and the Puerto Rican was like, the dude was like, hey, where's the patches? And I was like, oh, we just got the outfit just now, man. I'm thinking like, come on, ain't no big deal. Like, wait a minute. This motherfucker storms out the locker room. I was like, oh, that ain't go too good. So he went and told the president.
La chota.
Yeah, he went straight to the president. And then the manager comes. I guess I don't know if he got an email or what, but somewhere he find out, he's like, can we get the patches on? I like, man, I ain't thinking about no patches right now, man. We warming up. Fuck the patches.
Oh, now you're not thinking about their patches? Oh no, coach.
Yeah, and I said that. And I said,
the situation is what it is.
Right.
We fighting this motherfucker big ass puncher from Argentina, and I'm like, man, nobody worried about no motherfucking patch. We worried about this fight. We got to warm up. We on next, and we good. They'll be all right. So that was one. And then the next fight, we forgot to bring the belt to the weigh-ins. And it's like, and then he's like reminded, the patches, and now you don't bring the belt. And I'm not, listen, I have a calling, man. I have a gift. My gift is I have a really good eye for boxing. And I'm just trying to help these guys get to where they would need to be, right? They have a goal in life. I can help them. I don't need it. You know what I'm saying? Because if it was up to me, I'm like, man, listen, fuck out my face, man.
Right.
But, cause, you know what I'm saying? I'm old enough, like, I'm good. I don't need this boxing shit. But I know that my fighters do, and it's their goal in life to become a world champion. And so, we got to play nice. So that's the second time was, the belt was that. And we like, and to me, I'm like, that's just so petty. Like, relax. Like, what the fuck? So what? We're not even the main event. Yeah, I know. We're not even the main event. We're deep on the undercard. Like, what you worried about us for? So that we climbed the rankings, and then we had a huge. Everybody, for some reason, everybody was coming to welterweight. Everybody keep jumping us, and we're not going nowhere. We're going backwards, and we're fighting people. And then we don't fight nobody, and we fight somebody. We have a tune-up fight because Top Rank made us have a tune-up fight in Puerto Rico. That the guy, no disrespect to the guy, we thank for him to take the fight because nobody else was taking the fight. But Alex,
Tiger rejected that fight.
But Alex Martin, and then I'm like, all right, I didn't want to fight him, but he was the only one on the table, and Top Rank, even Carl Moretti even came up to us because I was saying no to everybody. He went out to Polanco. He was like, listen, just take this fight. We got you the next one.
Right.
All right, that sounds good. So now we take the fight. Lo and behold, after that fight, we move up in the rankings. And I'm like, I don't understand this. I don't understand this good system. We fight people that are like on 500 record, and we move up the rankings. So I don't know. I know that you have to stay on them. You got to go to conventions. You got to email these guys. The president really don't do the rankings. He's just out there face.
The sound's messed up, right?
Yeah, you're breaking up, Coach.
Coach, the sound is kind of coming messed up a little bit. I don't know if you want to. I know it's a phone. You got T-Mobile like me? You gonna hop out and come back on?
Go to a Starbucks.
Yeah, I'll be like, listen, my T-Mobile be trying me, bro. My T-Mobile be trying me the same way, bro. I'll be having to tell the wifey sometime. I'll be on the road. I'll be like, babe, let me hit you right back. Hang up and call right back, get the connection right, bro.
Like I understand what Coach is saying. You know what I mean?
But that's what I was saying, right?
But those, you see, it's not important to him, those patches, but that's important to the sanctioning body. And so you have to play the game. You have to. That's it. I mean, you're not the boss of this shit. You got to play by their rules. And you do that, you get highly favored. You don't. No, hell no, he ain't getting no magnets. You know what I mean?
You don't. You get an emphatic no.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, so you have to. And I understand, Coach, what he's saying at that very moment. Yeah, he's focused on getting right. I mean, it's last minute type of shit. But that shit has to be resolved. And not, not to throw him, but that's his problem, right? He needs to make sure that shit gets done. And that has to be done, period. If not, find another guy who does the thing. But you have to play, if you want your fighter to be in great position, whatever the game is, yeah, it's kissing ass, whatever you want to call it, you have to play the game. You want a promotion, you got to play right. If you don't want it, then go ahead. Watch it. You're going to stay on the fryer all day. That's what's going to happen. So it's just, it's what it is.
And I'm playing those games, Claymore, is exactly why I'm hoping Zuffa does take over. I love this news. I love this news. Dan Rafael talked about Noel Michaelian and David. All these little shenanigans, they're bush league. They're not indicative of a sport trying to get to that next level. All these little games, all these like, well, you didn't give me enough money in the brown paper bag, or you didn't pose enough with the belt, or you didn't post the belt on Instagram when you walking into the hotel. All this nonsense, that's not, all that stuff has contributed to the sport becoming more and more niche.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Literally, as HLD was talking and as Coach was talking, that was what was going through my mind, man. I was saying these are the political games that kind of put a bad taste. I mean, yes, I think, there is a certain it is what it is factor, right? Because I'm sure my brother HLD will, and he'd be right for saying that, right? And saying like, man, it is what it is. If you're going to be in the game, you got to play the game by the rules the guy who made the game put out there. You can't come into somebody else's game and dictate the rules. But here on the back end of all of that being true is why a Zuffa Boxing, a Dana White, his whole attitude towards the sanctioning bodies, his approach to it, right? The way he sees it, this is what fuels him to say, I don't want to play those games. And the only way I can do it is by coming in with my own model. And although the boxing space may be resistant to it and feeling like this model's been here before, it's a model that is not fair across the board. Fighters like Rohan Polanco get screwed in these type of business models, to where he just makes a mistake and doesn't put a patch on a pair of shorts. And it's like, well, what about what I'm doing inside the ring, though? What about the fact that I'm the guy, that I'm, undefeated? What about the fact that I'm beating everybody up that you put in the ring with me? Obviously, I deserve it if this was exclusively a merit-based system. But because of all these extra political intangibles that somebody coming from Dominican Republic, English is a second language, fighting hard to become to get in the position he's in, he falls short because he's not good looking enough. He doesn't have enough followers. He forgets to put the patch. If Ryan Garcia were to forget to put the WBC patch on his shorts, would he be held accountable the same way? No, because Ryan Garcia comes in with over 2 million followers on Instagram, right? He comes in with this following, and it's like, where is the structure in this sport to make it fair play across the board for these fighters who are in the same conversation? Hold on a second. Agent Zero, man, what's good with you, family? I know we've had you quiet here, man. What's good, man?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Can you guys hear me?
No doubt. Agent, are you the Zoe?
Yeah, I'm Zoe. I'm the one who spoke a few months ago.
Yes, from Canada, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Saga vet, man. So what's good?
I'll phone. So I wanted to talk about something else completely. So I wanted to talk about the zone. I don't know if you guys have noticed or have talked about it, but the zone lost $900 million in 2024. And then they lost $1.4 million in 2023. The zone has never made a profit in 10 years of existence. They've accumulated $9 billion or $10 billion of losses ever since their existence. So we don't know their numbers for 2025 because they published them late. So the 2024 numbers, we got them in October 2025. The 2025 numbers, we're going to get them in October, November 2026. But I wanted to mention that because sometimes people say, oh, last year, in January 2025, the Saudis invested $1 billion. That was a 10% stake. But if we base their spending of the previous year, that money is already spent. So what we have to understand is that sometimes we like, oh, they charge too much for pay-per-view. They don't have a choice. They have to charge for pay-per-views. They have to keep increasing the prices because they don't make money. They have never made money. So, and this is why I believe they are the TNT deals. That's because they need the big events. If they don't charge for pay-per-view, they need the big events, because with big events, you can have more money from advertising, and then they have a betting section as well. I know they have a betting division. They can make money from that. So the zone charging for pay-per-views will not go away. I know Turkey wanted them to not charge for pay-per-view. Turkey promised that, but that was Turkey's wishes. But if they wanted to survive, they cannot do that. That's why they never done that. Like, that's why when they started, they kept increasing the price, because they never made a profit. So I know they have a billionaire that's backing them, but he already invested $7 billion in the zone. So I don't think he's gonna continue doing this. So that's one.
Seeing something without seeing something on the horizon, right? Like, he needs to see
exactly
a profit in the horizon at least. So this is why the zone has come together. Like, all right, we're gonna do this ultimate package, $50 a month. We're gonna keep charging these pay-per-views, and we're gonna, and that's why I love, the last time you came up here was super informative, and this time you came back again, super informative, bro. Super informative, to really put some perspective as to what we're dealing with when we're dealing with the zone, because there is without a doubt a paywall there that everybody's talking about, complaining about, and trying to figure out why they're doing this. But here you are showing that this company hasn't been in profit.
Yeah, exactly.
From their conception, right?
Yeah, and that's why they have to deal with TNT, because they need a bigger audience. And then that's why also they're making the play in boxing, because boxing is the least, I would say, there's less barrier to entry in boxing, because their biggest media right is the Italian club thing. I don't know how the club league for Italy. They pay $700 million per year for that. But the thing is, it's gonna expire in 2029. Well, the big players are in soccer. Like Paramount, I guess, got the European soccer, like, I don't watch soccer a lot, but the European soccer, like, competition or whatever. So if the Italian club series, their contract ends with it, and then Netflix says, I'm going to get that right, they will not be able to compete.
That's called the La Liga. They actually won that rights deal. They beat out Amazon for those rights. So all those other streaming platforms are going to compete, because that's the only sector for DAZN that's profitable, is those soccer exclusive rights. Yeah. So
and then Netflix bought I believe the women's World Cup rights for the women, the right for the women World Cup soccer. So for 2027, 2038, 31 or something like that. So if in the next few years, Netflix, Paramount, and Amazon start getting aggressive, that's going to be a problem for DAZN, because these companies can afford. What?
What's kind of crazy about that is, they're losing money. Yet I don't know who are the crazy investors, but middle of last year, they got infused with another $2 billion. You know what I mean? And that's not Saudi. I'm just talking about from investors. They funded another $2 billion to them. So man, you're losing money and yet you're still investing in them. That's kind of crazy.
That's the only way.
One of the investment keep being the founder, like the billionaire that founded the zone. He founded it through his investment fund. So he's the one. Something like that. So he's the one who keeps investing more into the company. So you might hear it's $2 billion, but he might have invested like $1 billion.
I saw it was in 2 installments in 2 different parts of last year that new money came in, and I can't remember what was the 2 sections of it.
Yeah,
but that said, they now invested in the New York market, so they now picked up the Yankees, they picked up the Rangers, so they're trying to see what they can do to try to get into this American market and hopefully get people to want to, force them to subscribe to DAZN and that's just an avenue. But you're right. The way they're going, bro. How long is this?
I think that's what it is. I think, right, HLD. I think at the end of the day, it just sounds like they're kicking the can down the road to a degree, hoping something finally kicks in. And it's like a poker game. It's like, okay, they put more money into the pot, but when you're looking at it from at home, you're looking at the hand that they have, and you're like, damn, bro, you sure you don't want to fold this shit? And they're like, well, we just want to be here for the river, right? We just want to be here we're hoping we can get this card on the river here that can make this all make sense, but we can't see. We got to pay to play. We can't see the river if we don't play the game. So yeah, they are going to infuse some money into it if need be to see the end of this and see what ends up happening. And that's why they're probably now resorting to this whole idea of signing fighters, right? Of giving them exclusive deals now, where they're like, we're going to try to take more control of this business. We're going to do something, tweak this business model to where we can affect it a little more. Agent Zero, does that make sense? Is that how you kind of see it?
It makes sense. And then that also, like for the major sports like soccer, basketball, whatever, the rights get more expensive every time. Like when the NBA TV rights ends, it becomes more expensive. So at some point, I don't believe the zone will be able to compete. They can compete in boxing, but not in other sports. Like they can't overbid, but they're gonna be at a loss still. Like you can't promise, you can't guarantee, you can't say, okay, I'm gonna give $10 billion, but you're gonna be at a loss because if you can't have enough subscription, which is their case right now, okay, you can overbid, but I don't think it's sustainable. My fear is that 2027, 2028, and 2029, especially 2029, are going to be like the defining years for the zone. 100%. Because after that, I don't know, either they're going to get bought or I don't know, they're going to get the subscription they want, I don't know, by some miracle or something. Because I also checked their balance sheet. They have $400 million in debt. It's $800 million, but there's some accounting, like, rules that makes it 800, but it's really $400 million. And then they do something called invoice factoring, which is usually small business do it, and then medium-sized business. Large companies don't do that. When you see large companies do that, that means they really need money. Like they really don't have the cash flow. So that gives me serious pause when I looked at their number. Obviously, they're not a public company, so they don't give a lot of info. But you can tell they don't have a lot of money.
You see the writing on the wall. You can see the breadcrumbs. You're following the breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
And you're saying that it's consistent with bleeding out money. It's not consistent with profitable and successful business model. Right. It's conducive to like all these moves being made. Shout out to Twan Demand says, then why is his own signing fighters?
Well, that boxing, like I said,
they got no choice.
They got no choice. That's their better bet. Like soccer is not sustainable for them if other companies keep getting into soccer. Like I said, Netflix, it got some rights for the Women World Cup. The Men's World Cup is gonna be, available soon. So I don't know if Netflix decides to go Apple TV Plus. They got the MLS. So no one, you never know if they want to get into the European scene. So
yeah, Twan the man says, stop wishing on the zone downfall. Listen, Twan, I'm gonna put you on game, right? This ain't about wishing them downfall. This is about real assessment news. It's not wishing anything on them. It's just speaking to the elephant in the room, into the reality. Because I think as a boxing community, most of us, I think a lot of fans in the space, they complain about the paywall. You know what I mean? This is what I hear across the board, wherever I'm at in conversations, is yes, everybody's very excited about what the zone is doing as far as with the promotional companies all being under one umbrella and things of that nature. But the paywall is an issue. The $50 a month is an issue for a lot of people. I don't care. I pay it. right? And I'm
90%
sure
of the people cannot afford that. 90% of folks out there cannot afford be paying, what is it, like $500? I'm paying without
Yeah,
tax and all
and
that
it's a
shit.
commitment, right? Right, HL, it's a
No,
commitment.
man.
It's not like you can do it for 1 month like it was before, where the zone used to be cool, where you could probably like pay the $19.99 or the $29.99 for 1 month because you saw that month was going to be, okay, I see some fights I don't want to see this month, so let me go ahead and pay the $30. With this new deal, you have to commit to a whole year of $50 a month.
I only know one other person in my entire circle that I know of that subscribes, man. I only know one person, and they all with sports. You know what I mean? Yeah, but I'm saying, like that because they can afford. But if you're not making some bread, you're not gonna, you can't afford to be throwing no $500, a year and shit on this. I can understand that, and that's terrible of them. They need to fix this shit. They need to fix this shit.
But they're definitely in the hole, right? They're definitely in the hole, and I think I think that's when we talk about Dana White and approaching the business model he does, and when we talk about the idea that the fighters deserve 80% of the money and 20% this, and how he does it. What Dana White does is he proposes and introduces a sustainable business model, right? To where we don't want to have those conversations, those uncomfortable conversations about how the business model that did give the fighters 80% of the money, or however Oscar De La Hoya and them are complaining about it, that business model has not been proven to be sustainable. We've watched you guys kick this can down the road for decades now, right? Kick the can down the road, go from network to network to network. And you know what I'm saying? New deal here, move here, move here, move. And you just been moving the pieces. And now it looks like we're at the end game where all the networks are kind of on game, and you guys can't get a deal now to where all you guys used to complain about the zone, the app-based platform as something that wasn't sustainable. But here you guys are all finally full circle. Now you guys are under the because you know why you're here? Because everybody's done with you. ESPN's done. Fox Sports is done. Showtime is done. HBO is done. All the options on the table have all gotten past the silliness of it all. You know what I'm saying? And said, you guys have still not figured out after all these years how to make it profitable for us. You still haven't figured it out. We're still in the hole fucking with you guys. And you don't care because, like I said, that's why I make fun of Oscar De La Hoya time to time to say that you're in your summertime villa or your $12 million mansion in Vegas and boxing is bleeding, and where is the investment into boxing to make it here for the coming years? You guys have always counted on spending other people's money to make money for yourself. So it is what it is, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then
that's
I was looking at the Top Rank deal. Top Rank got less money from the zone than they were getting from ESPN. So that's a red flag already. When you break it down per event, they got less money. So like when the NBA TV rights deal ends, they get more money. People fight to get the NBA. People fight to get NHL. People even fought to get the UFC. So when you're getting less money than the previous TV rights, that means you didn't bring enough value. And then the other thing is
growing.
exactly. And then the other thing is, I believe Oscar and Top Rank, their deal ended. They didn't have a home. Like most major sports renew their deal or get a new deal before it ends. Like the UFC TV rights deal was going to end in December 2025. They negotiated the whole year. They had an exclusive period with ESPN for the first few months. They got the deal locked in October, November. Same thing with the NHL. When their TV rights expired, they renew it before. So if the deal expired and then you have no home, that means nobody wants you. I mean, when you present the numbers, people are like, well, I'm not interested. There's no value here.
But it's obvious that the zone's positioning itself to get bought out eventually. They're never going to be able to compete at scale in the American market with the Netflix, Disney's, Paramounts, because they position themselves as a sports app. Well, in America, all the major sports don't need to be on the zone. So how are you going to cater to a demographic? You want American dollars just like you want British pounds. So I just think that eventually they're not going to be putting more money into American markets with the exception of boxing, maybe. But even the boxing is dwindling now. DAZN is like, shit or get off the pot. They're finding it more profitable to put fighters in exclusive deals and rent them out. They're making a killing for letting Ryan go over to Paramount. They're making a killing for letting AJ go over to Netflix, and they don't got to fucking absorb any of the risk. That's purely profit for them.
Yeah, you got it right, because they've been talking about going public for a few years. So yeah, you're spot on. They're positioning themselves to either sell or become a promoter in
I
boxing.
see that. Yeah, I see that. The writing's pretty much on the wall, because how much longer? I mean, it was Foxtel who invested the $2 billion last year. Foxtel Group, and so I like I said, man, am I gonna invest? Hell no. They could put an IPO out there, ain't touching that. You know what I mean? So I foresee exactly what Drew was saying and what Zoe is saying. I see them getting bought out eventually, or selling out maybe the American market. I mean,
do you think Sella would be interested in that? Could you see Sella picking up DAZN?
Oh
Yeah, I could see that.
It's like, did you know Sella is the PIF, well, their parent part, the private investment fund? They invested 15% into this Paramount
10%.
Warner. Paramount, no, I'm talking about they have 15% stake in the Paramount Time Warner merger. So
yeah, you're right.
The Saudis are putting their tentacles in every lake.
They're hedging their bets. They're hedging their bets,
which is very smart. And people keep saying, well, what if Saudi pulls their funding? I'm like, they're under contract to at least fund Zuffa Boxing till 2030. Worry about when they pull their funding then. TKO has smart people they know how to sell and package sports entertainment. Now we can get into the merits of, like, is it good sports entertainment that they're packaging? That's tomato. But the UFC's quarterly report just came out. They made $500 million in, what was the last quarter that just posted? Q2?
Yeah, Q2. That was yesterday.
UFC another 500 in Q2 as well. So they know how to make money. They know how to package and put a product out there. I just think we're dealing with the old guard that is just fighting that off. Look at how fast Nico Ali Walsh caved. They brought him over to look how fast Clay, like, look at my prime example. Prime example. Look at what Samson Boxing, Don King, and WBC are doing to Noel Mikhailian. I don't hear nobody talking about the Ali Act right now, about how they made a deal and he didn't even agree to it, and they made a deal without him even having knowledge. I don't hear no Ali Act defenders now.
Oh, is that why he came out today and said, I don't care anybody says, I'm defending my WBC belt regardless of? That's what he came out. He put out a statement.
I missed it. Somebody getting put me on.
Let me.
I think I speak for all you guys there. I want boxing to be organized and have a structure, and that the old guard doesn't want structure, because with structure comes the IRS and audits and having and assuring that you make your network partners money. The difference between Dana White and all these other promoters is Dana makes his network partners money.
Right.
And the deals get bigger each time. I want boxing to have a set schedule. I want to know I'm going to get 40 to 50 fights a year. Cool, great. Oh no, I get to pick and choose what I want to watch. Same thing with MLB, same thing with NFL, NBA. Sports fans have gotten spoiled across the board. Don't you think, fellas, we like having a schedule? We like knowing what's going on so we can plan around it.
100%. And I think the fighters like Rohan Polanco, which is a perfect example, man. And, you can't make this up, because, listen, today's show is supposed to be about, and we'll get to it, right? We'll talk about the fights this weekend and the fighters and everything like that. But, amazingly enough, on the back end of Gustavo Olivieri going on Najee, we watched how a fighter like Rohan Polanco is clearly, well, I don't want to say clearly, I'll say there's an argument there to say that the sanctioning body he competes under may have something against him. You know what I'm saying? And maybe operating in an unfair, and shout out to the Ali Act, you know what I mean, in an unfair way, to where he's powerless, where he can't really do but so much except for play ball, find out who's ass to kiss, you know what I'm saying? Play the game, like my brother HLD said. And how fair is that? You know what I mean? In a system that these fighters are putting their life on the line. They're putting their lives on the line to hopefully become a champion one day, to come to find out that because of a patch not being somewhere, or because they don't have the right influence or following, that they can't, that no matter what they do in the ring, they may be asked out. That not only, because it was interesting for him to say that he hasn't done this yet, but it's like, what about the fighter? It takes somebody to give him an opportunity, because outside of it being ordered, which you think that would be the fair play, right? To say that he's next up, this is the fight that has to happen, whether the guy accepts the fight or not. If the guy doesn't accept the fight, then maybe that guy should be pulled down in the rankings. Like, all right, you don't have to take the fight, but we're going to put Rohan past you. We're going to give him his just due, because he's willing and ready to fight you. You don't feel like it's a fight that's for you because of whatever reason, fine, he goes up. Where's the accountability from the sanctioning body to be fair play across the board and say, even a Ryan Garcia, that's cool, you're a big star, that's what's up, but your next fight is this guy, or the belt is not going to be there for you.
Oh,
or
shit, Clay.
You know what I mean?
It's official. Zuffa just put it out on all their socials. Opataya versus Michaelian.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I put in the private chat, Clay. That's what I'm saying. That Michaelian's
shit.
Look what Michaelian said. Watch this.
I love my panels, bro. I promise you I do. People don't even know.
That fight is announced. But then Michaelian put out a statement.
Michaelian, the WBC champ, said, can you guys see it?
Yep.
We see it, right? Okay, cool. Per Zuffa press conference, Michaelian, the WBC champ, said, when I step into the ring on September 12th against Jai Opataya in Las Vegas, I intend to defend my world championship. This is the fight I've wanted since becoming a 2-time world champion, and I'm ready to deliver, Michaelian said. There you have it. Your official co-main event for September 12th.
Let's go.
Opataya versus Noel Michaelian. This is justice. This is what it should be.
Like you said, Clay, you can't be undisputed if you don't got the ring and the lineal. You could have the 4 belts, but you need that ring and lineal championship. You got to beat the man.
And that's so very interesting, right? Because we watched Mauricio Suleiman in the WBC try to play the game, right? And they tried to put this guy in a position to where they were going to celebrate their favorite Mexican fighter that they wanted to in David Benavidez, and they were going to use Noel Michaelian as a chess piece in this fake war going on between the sanctioning bodies and Zuffa Boxing, right? And here we go, where a fighter has to step forward and say, nah, bro, we ain't doing that. You can't force me to fight Benavidez, bro. He's you know what I mean? He's a unified champion, bro. He's not in the rankings of the WBC in this cruiserweight division. And like Michaelian said, I've been wanting this opportunity forever. This is what I've wanted to do.
Oh, yeah.
And I've been lineal title on the line.
The WBC, I forgot that WBC, they forced him as a mandatory to fight Benavidez. Is that what happened, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's crazy, bro.
They took a unified champion and made him a mandatory, bro, to another belt. And you know what's so funny on the back end, and I want to give it back to, because I think Drew wanted to speak on it real quick, but I want to say that you know what's so funny, when a person like me, the way my mind thinks, the first thing I think is, okay, fine, you did this diabolical shit, right? Why haven't you used this diabolical power you have to influence unifications before? You feel me? As much as we sit here looking for undisputed, why haven't you used this power that you clearly can use when you feel like it? Why haven't you used it to influence unifications? Why aren't we making mandatory, you know what I'm saying, William Zepeda versus Abdullah Mason, or Gervonta Tank Davis versus Shakur Stevenson? Why didn't you make that a mandatory and make it to where Gervonta could lose his belt if he doesn't take the fight, or vice versa? Because I don't want to make it sound like I'm going against Tank. It could be Shakur as well, right? You don't fight Tank, you lose your belt. Mandatory unifications. What happened? You're using it now as you see fit. Why haven't you used it in the past before?
Exactly. This is beautiful. Dana White and the Zuffa brass just slapped their dick on the face of Samson Lemkowitz, Don King, and they have a fiduciary duty to let Noel Michaelian take the best offer, don't they? Per the Ali Act.
I hope.
Per the Ali Act. And you know, fellas, you know how greedy and slimy Mauricio is. Does he want 3% of a Michaelian PBC fight where it might not be that much on pay-per-view, or like, fuck it, let me just let him go fight and get the Zuffa bag and get 3% over there.
You know, let's see where Mauricio plays the game. Is he gonna strip him immediately, or he's gonna wait till the last minute, or he's gonna let it fly?
But think of this, HLD. That means 2 WBC titles will be on the line on that Paramount card. You don't think Mauricio wants to be for the first big fight on Paramount streaming? It's the WBC belt, not no other belts.
Oh,
you know his ego cannot let that. He's like, fuck.
Get your patches ready. Get your patches ready.
And you know what? I spoke about this a couple months back, and I said, is Mauricio Sulaiman, because I'm gonna tell you the truth, right? If Mauricio Sulaiman would have stood on business, right, and been like, yo, Ryan Garcia, you're not fighting no Zuffa fighter. If you do, we're gonna take that belt from you. I would have gave Mauricio Sulaiman respect for that. You feel me? I'd have been like, damn, bro. Because for the first time ever, I would have said I saw Mauricio Sulaiman put integrity in front of money. You feel me? That he actually was like, nah, bro, there's principles to this thing, man. Not everything's about money. Some things is about principle. These guys don't talk shit about us. They said they ain't messing with us. They said that we're corrupt. Nah, bro, we're not. I'm sorry. Not all money is good money. You understand what I'm saying? Like, yeah. I would have gave him props for that. You feel me? Like, damn, bro, you standing on your shit, bro. Like, you really, hey, I can't even do, but I knew it. I knew at the end of the day, the money was too big and he wasn't going to get in the way of that, bro, because that 3% is that 3%. And that's what we're here for. And no, I don't think he gets in front of Noel McKinley fighting Jabbatai, not one bit.
Yeah, I forgot about that. There was 2 belts, like Drew said. No, that ain't, bro. He's gonna be all cheesy. He's gonna be, hey man, you're managing in front of the cameras. Damn, you right about that. Right about that. That's crazy.
That's why I think Dana's understood that from the beginning, right? Like Dana's always looked at the sanctioning bodies like, yeah, when we're ready to deal with them, we will. But they're not going to fuck with you. Hey, bro, we're paying money. They're not that complicated. You feel what I'm saying?
But I'm gonna still stand on what I meant. They have pivoted. I bet you that Zuffa belt is not gonna be front and center of this entire thing like it was.
No, not right now.
Not with the Jai Opetaia debacle that they did. That's not gonna happen. I think they're gonna play nice. And but they're still getting their way. You know what I mean?
They're getting their way. Like, right. Mauricio's gonna walk up in there like Vince McMahon with the money thing, like do with that little strut. Because Mauricio, you could tell Mauricio is I can't stand him, but I can't stand. At least I know he's a snake. He's the first sanctioning body to sell out to Zuffa. He's saying, "Fuck it, get down or lay down. I'm gonna be the first one to get down." If Zuffa comes and offers us to be their official ambassador, Mauricio's gonna get to the money before all the other 3 sanctioning bodies first, and that's what he's doing. And I can't knock the hustle. He's playing the game, HLD, like you said.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, and they're easy. It's just like a girl, right? I mean, I don't want to say like a girl, but I would say like a. I don't want to say a hooker, right? But I'm going to say a girl who's a gold digger, right? They're not complicated. You know what I'm saying? Like it's easy.
She's a working girl, lady of the night.
Yeah, when you got money, you don't even. That's why you don't even respect them, right? You know what it is, right? You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, I don't need to respect her. All I need to do is buy her a purse.
That's
she's not difficult. She's not complicated. But you just simping, brother. I'm rich.
The rules are there. You know what it is.
It ain't tricking if you got it. You know what I'm saying?
It's simple, man.
Not me.
I don't think it's difficult. I don't think it's difficult. I think it's a matter of just complying and getting it done. Do what you got to do, man. That's why I didn't want to trying to throw Coach under the bus, but I mean, like, bro, get the damn patches on, man. Get somebody to get somebody to glue that shit. Yo, give me some crazy glue, man. Put it on that shit. Let's go. Right. You know what I mean? The belts, bro. You better have, bro. It's petty stuff. But
in that situation, HLD, I think hindsight is 2020, right? Hindsight is 2020, right? HLD, like, I doubt he'll do that again, right?
Right, man. Crazy glue. Next time, put the patch upside down and piss him off upside down. You know.
No. Claymore, I want you
on there, bro.
Clay, I want you to go into the crystal ball. What is Mauricio spin? How is Mauricio going to spin doctor this to say, like, oh, we got the fucking notification that they made the fight left? How does Mauricio spin this when it was supposed to be David fighting him? Now they're letting him fight on a Zuffa card.
Yeah. He's going to say the fighter first.
Yep.
It is a fighter first, and that's the fighter wants. WBC stands tall for all fighters. And this is what Noel McKinney. Listen, we have to. I have no problem with Zuffa. They're the ones who come out doing the things they're doing. I'm looking forward to working with these fighters. That's what he's gonna do, bro. That's what he's gonna do, bro. I promise you. You know what I'm saying? That's one thing. The one thing I know that Mauricio, let me tell you, when it comes to Mauricio Suleiman and it comes to Oscar De La Hoya, one thing I know is they will pivot, bro. They got no problem pivoting, bro. They just want, it's just about that bottom line. This is what it is.
How bad will it look, HLD? How bad will it look? Okay, we're gonna strip Noel, but we're gonna let another WBC champ fight in the main event.
No, that ain't
Mauricio's gonna want both fights at the podium, both champs, both belts. You know he loves seeing Ryan Garcia on Raw holding the WBC belt. You know he loved that.
Oh man, you know that he was getting a hard
100%, 100%. Oh, and Ryan's doing his job, by the way. He is everywhere he goes.
He loves it, bro.
And I got to bring this back to you, Clay. This is all on the back of good business practices.
Talk about it. Triple 4 in the building. What's good? What's good, family?
What's going on, panel? Also, Clay. Y'all made some really good, interesting points, and I wanted to just piggyback on something. You know, like when we see this kind of this thing that's happening with the zone, where you're starting to see all the promotional companies all under one banner. What would you guys say caused that what was the catalyst to bring all of that quote unquote unity together? What would y'all say?
Yeah, no
what
choice.
caused that?
No choice.
No
choice.
Thank you. Okay, great. I agree. It's Zuffa. HLD, you say this a lot when you're like, oh, you know, they had to pivot. Here's my perspective of it. If it was up to the old way of thinking, they would actually rather do without Zuffa and Dana White, honestly speaking. But the simple fact that they cannot do without Zuffa and Dana White, the simple fact that Zuffa exists, Dana White exists in a space that they would rather have him literally gone from. Who's really pivoting?
I told you
the people that are pivoting is really the old way of thinking. They're the ones pivoting because they understand. They're pivoting. Oscar's pivoting because.
What I'm saying.
Oh, okay. Sorry, HLD. I apologize. Then I thought you were saying Zuffa was pivoting.
They are in the fact that they're not going to do the whole debacle that they did with Jayo Pitaya and try to make the Zuffa belt the front and center of it. They're just going to play game, but they still getting their way. They're not going to do that again. So when you have Ryan Garcia coming in the ring, it's not going to be the Zuffa belt flying around that shit. And it ain't going to be the same thing with the Jayo Pitaya fight. It's going to be
they're going to get the way. The new Ali Act is going to run through the Senate now that Ali gave his blessing. And we're going to see the Zuffa belt next summer.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say.
That's
HL
my
is just
point.
kicking the can down the road. You're right. It's not going to be like that right now. But I mean, HL, fair play to HLD. He spoke on this a while ago, and he said they're going to wait on that Ali Act to go through, and then you're going to start seeing them showing
understood. Oh, my apologies. My apologies, HOD. Okay, cool.
He spoke on this a long time ago. Literally this way. They say they're going to play ball, but they're just waiting on that Ali Act. And once that Revival Act, that's when you're going to start seeing Dana show his real tanned ass cheeks, because he's going to go to a nice tanning booth. Pause. He's gonna go to a nice tanning booth before he shows his cheeks.
That's what. You remember that baseball game? He's gonna bring out Betsy, bro. That's when Zuffa's gonna bring out old Betsy, the bat, to start hitting home runs once that Ali Revival Act comes into play. And then that's gonna be another next year, another drama that we're gonna be seeing unfolding. But yeah, and
I agree with that. But there's so many things that Zuffa is doing, Dana White is doing, that it's like they're so impactful. You know what I mean? Of course, the Ali Act is obviously one component that is definitely very powerful. But this just, like the brother was talking about, aren't we excited to see structure? Aren't we excited to see just fighting without all the heavy politics? You know what I mean? Like doing good business with networks. These things, and I'm looking at it, and that last Zuffa event, I'm like, man, like, I'm gonna be honest with you. That event felt like I was really, it made me appreciate the art of fighting. And that's what I feel like they're bringing to boxing, is like the true essence of fighting and combat. And I finally got it in that moment of why they were successful with UFC, because that's essentially what the core and the essence of UFC is. And I feel that kind of percolating in this whole Zuffa thing, to be honest. That last fight card was pretty amazing, to be honest with you. the ambiance, the people, the crowd.
There was drama in the fights.
The drama in the fights, the matchmaking, even the quality, in my opinion, I love what they're doing camera-wise. And you know what Dana says? He's not happy with it. He's constantly tweaking. And what I'm looking at is like, we're like Zuffa 9. I'm like, man, what will Zuffa 30 look like? What will Zuffa, 100 look like?
Look, we're at UFC. We're at UFC 331, 32. I don't know what the number is, but yeah, you got to ask yourself, what does Zuffa 100 look like? What does Zuffa 150, Zuffa 200, Zuffa 215? What do these Zuffas look like? Yeah, man, you can't help but be optimistic.
Because we're excited, fellas. Because we're excited. Like, there's some fans that just want to complain. They'll always be there. I get it. But I don't turn on boxing to see what the fighter's ring kit color his glove is, what color his shoes. I tune in to watch fights. All that ancillary shit, I don't care. I don't care about the ambiance and the buzz of the crowd. I tune in to watch violence.
Understood.
And the sweet science of bruising. I want to see a man make a miss and make him pay. I don't want to see a dude dancing around looking at the clock for 12 rounds just to get a decision. Like, no. I want them all, like, go ahead.
No, I'm not to segue or move past it. Still staying on it, but I'm very interested in what you guys might think about at this point. Then, if at this point this is true, right? And I'm assuming that I'm giving this 75% merit, right, as far as what we just saw here, as far as Jai Opetaia and Noel McCallion is concerned, because I haven't heard an official announcement per se. You know what I'm saying? From the Zuffa side, at least. You know what I mean? But I'm assuming, like I said, 75. I'll even give it 80% merit base, right? And saying on the back end of this being true, how does a David Benavidez now, who's really, in my opinion, been holding on to the last bit of faith in the PBC, right? Like, I'm just being honest, right? Like, let's just be honest and say that ever since David Benavidez beat David Morrell, he's been kind of, there's an argument there to say why continue with the PBC at this point, right? Like, nothing against the PBC. Thank the PBC for getting you to this point. But at this point, what is the PBC really able to facilitate for David Benavidez? It seems like his place is to be as close to Turkey Al-Sheikh as possible, right? To be as close to a opportunity to make the biggest fights, whether it's fighting Alexander Usyk, which is not going to happen, whether it's fighting Better Biev, whether it's fighting Dimitri Bivol, whether it's fighting Jai Opetaia. All these fights or Noel McCallion at this point, all these fights seem to be over there now. What is the PBC? What is that relationship really doing as far as facilitating David Benavidez with his biggest fights? Because their best opportunity they've been able to get him thus far is what, Zurdo?
Very simple.
And by the way, I saw Zurdo Ramirez at Zuffa 9. I was there and I saw him in the building sitting right up front, very close to Turkey Al-Sheikh. I saw that with my eyeballs.
I'm going to give David the benefit of the doubt, fellas, and say finally, he's just waiting to get out of this fucking 360 Samson deal so Samson don't eat off his next Zuffa bag or the zone exclusive bag. He sees the writing on the wall. He went over to the Saudi. He saw what Turkey and them can do for him. He's over there playing nickel and dime with the used car salesman.
Yeah, but that's like within 12 hours, bro. He didn't even wait
I
for
know,
the fight.
I get it. But then he did take a fight thereafter and fought Yard. So he double backed. It's just like that little kid that's scared to put his whole body in the pool. He touched the toe. He dipped his toe. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt that he's going to wake up, and then after this last fight, they're going to try to sell on paper. He's out.
You think so?
I have a feeling. I think it's very possible because even if the zone offers David Benavidez a deal like what they gave to Devin Haney, with the zone, realistically speaking, you guys do hold a lot of fighters, but do you hold the cruiserweight division conversation? Do you hold David Benavidez's biggest paydays under your business model?
Not with the cruiserweight
or does
division.
Turkey really hold it over there at over at, you know what I mean? Is it really over here now? Is a cruiserweight division a Zuffa thing now?
You asked the question, what is the PBC doing that they do best for their fighters? They protect their O's, man, and they protect their investment in keeping that O so that they could continue to pounce with that, in the next fight, and the next fight, and the next fight. That's because the O has a marketing ploy when it comes to this business of boxing. It really does. It means something, and so I think he's protecting it as best possible. Will he finally cave in? We'll see. It's up to him. But I sent you this. I think you're gonna like what Robert says here.
I think I've seen it, but I want to play it. Yeah, it says Robert Garcia on Zuffa says, I'm not going to say no. They're paying 3 times more. And by the way, this is where, I was talking to somebody the other day who was saying, well, Murataya is over there with Top Rank. Top Rank ain't playing nice with Zuffa. Let's see, what I said to respond to that was, so what, Top Rank's going to tell Murataya that he can't get his biggest payday? That's not
really, he said he's petitioning. I'm going to give you that tweet here in a second.
Okay, so the legendary trainer says Zuffa is giving fighters opportunities, paying significantly more than other promoters, and doing something right despite the criticism. Do you agree with this take? Let's see here.
The more promoters, the more competition, the better for them. Zuffa's getting a lot of criticism from all the other promoters, but it's all because they're doing something that they're not doing. They're giving fighters opportunities. I've always said it. The more promoters, the more competition, the better for the fighters, the better for my fighters. If Zuffa starts giving my fighters opportunities, I'm not going to say no. Golden Boy, Top Rank, PBC, Matchroom. Those are the top 4 promoters here in the United States. And those fighters that I have in the gym don't have a deal with neither of them. I reach out to everybody, believe me. And if they never give them an opportunity, and Zuffa does give me an opportunity, I'm bringing them to Zuffa. Plus, they're getting paid 3 times more than any other promoter pays. So we're happy. I'm happy. They treat everybody with a lot of respect. They have a good team behind them, and I think they're doing a great thing. They're bringing up great fights. Ryan Garcia versus Conor Ben. It's a Zuffa card, and it's a big card. Everybody wants to be part of that card. So obviously, they're doing something right.
This man's an icon to the sport. What he's doing for so many fighters, and what he's doing at the level that he's doing, man, much love and respect to Robert Garcia, man. And he's a gentleman. He's a gentleman at that too. But I put here into what his response about, because you said, is he gonna let is Top Rank gonna let him go to Zuffa? Look what he put out yesterday. I put it right there in the tweet for you.
Yeah, put it in there for me, man.
Yeah, I did.
Pause.
That
was crazy. That was crazy.
Yeah. But it's in the private. It's in the private chat. His latest tweet.
Okay. Hold on a second here. Well,
it was in response to the mandatory.
All right. Let's see. Share screen.
You probably played the video too if you wanted to.
We got ASAP, Spit Bucket, Baba. Okay, no, this is the one right here. Okay. All right. So let's see here. So Robert Garcia, man, says we'll get on it ASAP. See you soon, Shakur Stevenson. Okay, so we can, and that's awesome because I had that conversation. Oh, okay. Look. Hey, man. So he's responding here, right? He's responding to what was said here. Let's see here.
So for all
Najee from Cigar Talk, by the way, he is literally a vehicle of, he is like a bridge because he's so professional and he has access, and what he uses his influence is everything he has access to is just like invaluable to the boxing, to us, right? Because nobody else is having these conversations.
You got Emiliano Vargas. I believe he currently sits at number 1. Yep. You got Duarte, right? What's the other one? You got Lindolfo Delgado and Ernesto Mercado. So from all four of those, none of them have been world champion. Murataya has been world champion. So technically, I would say, and the committee would say, you know what? Let's review the professional records of the top 4 and Murataya. Compare them. And one thing stands out that you have to consider above all else, Murataya is a world champion, undefeated. The other 4 standing in line have never won a world title.
Right. 100%. 100%. Well, my thing is with that conversation is if Shakur Stevenson does play A-side politics, right? If it's about what Shakur wants, is there an argument there to say that Shakur Stevenson would be way more interested in a 135-pound fight for a lineal title, to put a third lineal title underneath his?
I got an answer for you. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Here we go. And the answer for that question is in your private chat. Now, we know it could be, whatever. But.
Oh, yup. And there he is, wasting no time. Shakur Stevenson with the fire emoji, right? So he's like, let's get it done. Let's get it done. You know, Shakur, at the end of the day, one thing about Shakur at this point in his career is he's getting paid one way or the other, right? He's solidified his money. So now he's not as resistant, right? He's like, oh, that sounds great, bro. Yeah, let's do that, man. Go ahead and mandate that. But low key, I personally don't think Raymond Murtagh would even have to mandate that unless Shakur were to push back at the 140 fight and say, I want the 135 fight, right? Like if Shakur was to press back at that, push back at that and said, I want that fight with Raymond, but I want that lineal title. So I wanted to be at 135. By the way, does anybody on the panel know how that works as far as that rehydration clause is concerned? Being that Shakur is not bringing a sanctioned body belt, so it's not a unification per se. Does that rehydration clause still stay the same if Shakur were to fight Murtagh?
135? Yeah. Then they would have to abide by the IBF rules. There's no unification because he has no belt at 135.
So that would have probably Shakur make it at 140 then. Say F.
Yeah, it's going to be 140 because you already saw that they said that they're moving up to 140 officially. So
right,
so it's a 145. It'll be a 145.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, man. But so, guys, let me ask you guys. I know HLD was up here. I'm not sure if Drew was up here when we were calling that fight or 444. I don't think 444 was here either. Or Agent Zero probably was in there.
It was White Mike.
Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. I got you. so that being said, though, what do we think about William Zepeda right now? 135. Did he? Well, let me ask. Let's go back a little bit. What did you think about William Zepeda on the back end of the Shakur Stevenson fight? In other words, at the end of that fight, how did you guys feel about William Zepeda at 135? Were you guys like, oh, that was just, was it a good fight, or did William Zepeda did it kind of change the trajectory of William Zepeda for you? Did you see him coming back? Anybody?
I thought he looked good. I thought he made a good account of himself. I do think he learned from that Shakur fight, and I think he wasn't ready to try his wrinkles and his angles out with Shakur. He just went for it and took a shot. And then this fight, he's like, okay, I do know how to box. I can do these things. And he showed it with Lamont. I'm slightly going to favor Abdullah, but it's a pick'em fight. You can make an argument for both guys on why they're keys to victory and how they can win. I just think it's going to come down to who implements the better body attack to slow the other man down when it comes to him and Abdullah. Who's the
bigger puncher? Abdullah Mason, undoubtedly, right? Between Zepeda and
yeah, a little more. Right? I think so.
He has that more one shot thing, but that, have we seen Abdullah deal with the A-level pressure fighter?
I mean, Sam Noakes was a pretty damn good contestant for that conversation. He was.
And he had him dancing a few times in that fight.
Yeah, no, it was a very it was a fight of the year candidate, right? It was definitely Sam Noakes was definitely not there to play. He wasn't laying down for anybody.
I think Zepeda leveled up. I think they went to the drawing board. He took a year off. They really worked on the game. He just came out, bro. He hasn't seen his family in 4 months. He went that old school shit. Went into the highs of La Dev over there in Mexico, bro, and he worked his ass off to be able to perform the way he did, and it showed. I'm actually more interested in I would rather see him in a rematch with Shakur now, off of this fight, than see Murtagh versus Shakur. I would rather see that. As far as Abdullah Mason, at this point in time, I got Zepeda winning that fight.
If I got a conundrum for you, right? If Raymond Murtagh comes to 140, that would push William Zepeda up to number 2, right? In the division, right? 135? He's number 3 right now.
Who's number 2?
Number 2 is Raymond Murtagh. Number 1 is Shakur.
They're gonna, bro. If Murtagh fights at 140. Shakur's going to get bounced off the rankings of 135.
You would? Okay.
Yeah, he'll get bounced off. It'll be 2 fights now at 140.
Could Shakur fight William Zepeda and there be a lineal title on the line?
At 135?
As being that Raymond Murtagh has announced he's going to 140, Shakur's still number 1. I would think that until Shakur fights again, he would still hold that number 1 spot. If you were to make a fight with William Zepeda, would that be for a lineal title?
If it's before fighting again at 140, maybe. It depends. I don't know. Does Ring Magazine got him number 1? I guess is what you're saying.
Yeah, he's number 1.
At 135. So they haven't bumped him off. Then yeah, technically that's the rules. 1 and 2 gets the lineal belt. That's just the rules. There's nothing else about it.
Yeah, so I think it's interesting. I think Shakur has a lot more options on the table than people want to give credence to. I think they're trying to paint him into a corner with this Devin Haney situation. And listen, look, speaking on that, right? Because Friday, that pop-up we had, I was very emotional. You know what I mean? I was in my feelings.
We all needed therapy that night.
He's gonna hurt my feelings, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. Hey, bro, he threw me off, to say the least, right? It was a very much like I didn't know how to deal with it. And I was lashing out. And I don't take back anything that I said, but I do add to it, right? And I do pivot a little bit, I guess you could say, if you want to say that. But I'm gonna say with new data comes new perspective. Shakur Stevenson doesn't. I think Devin Haney has a right to say the fight happens at 147 or it doesn't happen at all. Facts. And I wouldn't hold it against Devin Haney, even though he committed and said he was willing to fight at 144. I wouldn't hold him to it because I feel like they did get played with a little bit. I feel like this Keyshawn Davis, Shakur, Jay Prince thing has been very diabolical, to say the least. I think it's business. I think it's a game that's being played that was, Jay Prince has every right to say, don't hate me, hate the game, right? Jay Prince has every right to say, hey, bro, this is the game of boxing. Sorry. This is not a merit-based system. This is about leverage. This is about negotiations. This is about you get what you negotiate. You don't get what you deserve. So I don't got time to play by these quote unquote ethical rules that you guys are trying to hold me under when this game is diabolical. And we watch fighters like Rohan Polanco get played the way they get played. So Jay Prince is playing his position. Keyshawn's playing his division. But Shakur Stevenson at the same exact time has a right to say, listen, you can clearly see from Shakur's point of view, I'll be okay. You guys will see me in the ring in October or November. Don't get it twisted. Devin Haney, I don't need Devin Haney to fight me. Is he still a huge payday for me? Yes. Is he the biggest payday? Yes. Does that stop me from getting big paydays? No. Does it stop me from getting my biggest payday? Yes. But a big payday is a big payday. And at the end of the day, I have the opportunities on the table. Devin Haney, where does he go next? What does that look like for him as far as the landscape of eligible fighters who are available to fight him in his biggest paydays? Is that the same conversation Devin is having?
Well, Gustavo put a nail in the coffin yesterday. If you watch the interview in its entirety, there is no 144 catchweight. It's 147 or nothing. Shakur could come in at 144 if he wants. Mm-hmm. But there's not going to be a contractual fight at 144. So it's either the way Haney says or not. So I think that we're done with that. I think I for the foreseeable future, I think we're done.
So you don't see Devin pivoting to a certain degree and saying, all right, let's make the fight at 144 because that is his biggest payday, right? Like you think Devin will go in another direction and just deal with that?
Because the situation was fluid. When he accepted it, he did not have a DAZN deal. Now he has a DAZN deal, so he's now set. So yeah, Shakur, you got Zuffa money, but I got DAZN money, so I'm gonna be okay. I can make money, maybe not my biggest payday, but I'll make a payday.
Facts.
Just like you said right there. So I think now they're in a different situation. They don't need Shakur for shit now. You know what I mean? And so that's
even Dana White said last time, I believe in his last press conference, he said he doesn't like catch weight. They don't mean anything. I believe they were asking him about Shakur fighting at 144. Not explicitly, but he said he doesn't like catch weight.
He's old school, man.
Oh, so that means Zuffa's not offering. So Zuffa's not interested in the catch weight fight at 144?
Yeah. I'm not saying it won't happen, but Dana White said he doesn't like it. It doesn't mean anything. That's what he said. Now, they can always work on things, but that's his stance.
That's very interesting. Yeah, listen, I mean, I see Kaizu already holding me accountable in here. Kaizu says, bro, Clay, you being impartial. If Dev said no more 144, then they both reneged on their word. Female activity on both sides. I'm not being impartial. I feel like what I'm saying is Dev has a right to renege, just like Shakur could renege as well. Like, I'm not saying one person is more entitled to one thing versus the other. What I am saying, though, is that just in the conversation of Devin Haney needs a fight. Without a doubt, I think his biggest payday on the table right now is against Shakur Stevenson. And vice versa, by the way, right? Shakur Stevenson's biggest payday is Devin Haney. It's not one leveraging over the other. What I'm saying is, in the spirit of making the most money, would Devin Haney make the fight happen at 144 off the strength of, even though this has been a horrible, fucked up situation, let's just be honest about it. Does he say, let me make this fight happen anyway because it is my biggest payday? Or does he move on and move away? Because Shakur, in my opinion, has made it clear that he's very comfortable with moving away. Like, when he talks, it's like, hey, yeah, but I'm all right. I'm good. I don't need to do it. We don't need to do it. I think what he said was the fans get fucked over. Not me. I'm good. You guys don't want to see the fight. I'm good. I'm going to move on. I already done told you guys what it is, right? So that fight, I guess what I'm arguing, still really on the table? Is there a real chance that fight still comes full circle? Because when Shakur confronted Bill Haney on Najee, I think it was it? Yeah, it was on Cigar Talk. Bill was very upset, by the way. And I'm not used to seeing Bill be very upset. I'm used to him being always 2 steps, 3 steps ahead of whoever he's debating, laughing, coming with the one-liners. He was pissed off. He hung up the phone like 2 or 3 times.
Well, he was getting on a plane. He was getting on a plane. That's why he
was getting on the plane, but the words he was using was like, I don't got time. I ain't talking to you playing these games. I'm going to talk to the man. I ain't, he was very, you know what I mean? I heard it in his voice. He was very like, kind of like, I don't want to play these games no more. And for me, and you saw Shakur, obviously, he was laughing like, he don't want to talk to me. My thing is, how does Bill, the businessman, Bill, the money maker for his son, feel about this? Does he still want to chase the biggest payday out there for his son? And is that frustrating? Because he said, have Jay Prince talk to me. So that sounds like he's open for business, right? He didn't say, you missed it. We ain't fighting you no more. We ain't playing. He said, I'm not talking to you about it. Right? He said, I'll talk to Jay Prince. So how does DHP look at that situation?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, if the opportunity is there the
opportunity is clearly there, right? Like,
there's right. I mean, if he's making $8 million for Keyshawn, so how much more is he gonna make with Shakur? Another 3, maybe? You know what I mean? So, I mean, I think they're gonna weigh their back, the plus and minuses on that. Okay. And then I don't think the fight's happening. I think right now we're beyond it. I think now both fighters are now secure with their own contracts. There's no need. Now I don't care what anybody says. I'm disappointed in Shakur Stevenson to allow 3 fucking pounds rob him of his glory. And that's just ridiculous.
Well, I'm not mad at him for that.
But I am, bro. If you're under the tutelage of a Bud Crawford, hell, both of Crawford's princesses, Keyshawn and Shakur. Yo,
I look at it a little differently, though. I ain't gonna lie to you, just a little differently. I'm almost there with you, but I do feel like at the end of the day, there's an argument there for Shakur to say that there's plenty of legacy in front of me. And don't chirp.
Don't chirp.
But
don't chirp.
Listen. That's why I say I'm not completely against what you're saying. Like, I feel like I'm also there with Shakur. It's like I'm with that with both of them. With Devin, I'm like, stop it with the catch weight with Shakur, and with Shakur, I'm like, stop it with the catch weight with Devin. Right? I'm like both of them. Devin, move forward in 147, campaign, unify, do great things, and then if you want to make a super fight, it's not, people get upset when I say this, but it's like, if you want to make a super fight, Devin, make a super fight with Jaron Ennis. You feel me? Make a super fight with those guys. You know what I'm saying? Don't make a super fight with somebody who's campaigning at 135, 140 at a catch weight of 144. Don't do that, because you're just leaving an asterisk there, right? There's no reason for you to do that.
I think Drew speaks on it, bro. The princesses Americans over here with all this bullshit that they be doing, bro. It's a detriment to the sport. And let me ask you, would you think Bud Crawford would allow 3 pounds to rob him of his glory and legacy? Never.
But is that
but it's not about 3 pounds though. He got to 140 yesterday, so we're talking about 12 pounds right now,
right?
Because
and
he just got to 140.
And keep in mind this: Shakur will be at 147 eventually, right? So from Shakur's point of view, it's either now or later. We will do it later. We'll do it later. I'll be there next year probably, or you know what I mean, next 18 months or so. I'll be at 147. And that's what he said, right? He says when his career, you know, that he plans on, you know, that being his last weight division. So I'm just saying, just speaking from Shakur's point of view, just, you know, not to say even devil's advocate, because I don't want to call Shakur the devil, but I'm just saying that from somebody who believes that, listen, bro, it don't got to be now. It can be later. Now, from Devin's point of view, it could be that I'm going to be at 154 18 months from now. You know what I mean? I'm not going to be at 147. Maybe Devin sees it a little bit differently. And once again, beauty being in the eye of the beholder. Devin, if you feel like this fight is a big deal that you don't want to miss out on, and you feel like by the time he gets to 147, you'll be at 154, then maybe that may leverage Devin's opinion on this. Maybe that leveraged Devin's opinion on changing his mind in the first place to go from 147 to 144, right? We don't know. Let me bring in the Bandalorian, though. Bandalorian, salute.
Yeah, salute, Claymore. I'm out.
Hey, what up, y'all?
Oh,
you know the thing. You know what was getting
yeah,
me?
I'm going to listen, but I'm out. Sorry to interrupt.
No problem.
I said, nah, you good. I heard what other bro had just said, not HLD, other dude. I'm driving, so I can't like look at the name and stuff. But see, I think the thing was, Clay, I think you said it last week, and I said it was interesting on that cigar talk the other day. I said it's the first time I actually heard Shakur say this too. And I was like, I feel like it for everybody. I said where Devin himself messed up with the, like, if he don't want the 44, you know, if it's 47 or nothing, which was like Shakur said, he called me out. I remember I told people this when they kept bringing up, they keep using Bud and Canelo as an example. I said, that's not a good example, but because like Bud himself said, he was like, I don't want no excuses, but he was like, I couldn't try to get none if I wanted to. He was like, what can I do? He said, what do I have over Canelo? He was like, I don't have the bigger name. He was like, I'm calling him out. He didn't want to fight me. He was like, so I couldn't ask for any leniency in the negotiations anyway. So that's why I was like, that was my only thing with it. It's like, I get it. Everybody want to fight, but even with the Buddy Canelo fight, I said, I knew it. I had a feeling. I said, we going to start seeing all these kind of quote unquote forced fights. So now that's why we've been seeing people saying, you know, Devin, go up and fight Virgil Abuse. Shakur, go up and fight Devin. Bud, remember Clay, they were talking David Benavidez next. Bam, you need to go and fight anyway. I was like, I just knew this was gonna start happening, you know. So that's what's kind of damning about it. But all in all, I'm with everybody else, man. Just clean, or clear the smoke out that's in your division first, and then if it's deep, how to be, especially because when you say Clay, I'll finish it. I can't really tell. I think y'all gotta let me know. Like, if I be
no, you're breaking up bad, by the way. But Angelo just sent me a text message, right? And he said that the IBF is going to give that belt back to Jai September 12th. That he's going to be unified, fighting for a WBC IBF Ring Magazine Lineage champion. And they said that Benavidez will end up fighting the WBC interim Michael C-Slack in November. And that will make David the number one man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ask him if that is his crystal ball, or is that because I kind of thought that too. I was saying I think the IBF maybe will cave in, but I don't know. But so is that his crystal ball? Because I didn't see an announcement that the IBF was
me neither. I think I don't see any literally texting him, by the way, as we speak, to tell him.
Yeah.
You know,
but isn't Clay? Isn't this what's best for business? Behind the back 100%. Of good business practices.
100%. This is what it's all about, man. And listen, man, the big fight. Listen, the business is being done, but the fight is more importantly. The fights are being made right on the back end of the business, which is what lets you know that the business is good, right? It's letting you know that the business is good because it's letting you know that the business is letting you know. Tell you crystal ball for now, but the IBF is working on. Oh my god, yeah, it's
a wrap, baby. Takeover, the real takeover.
The only thing, Clay, is I was gonna say, ask Angelo, like, how did he know even for sure that this happened? Because you know, I don't know if he's seen that, of course. No, I'm saying because Dan Rapier said Don King goes through though. I mean, we know Don King goes through anyway, but you know, they actually said he goes through.
To be clear, that was his crystal ball, right?
Yeah.
That was his crystal ball. Okay, I mean, and I could see that. I mean, I thought I'm like,
Don King can sue all he wants. Like I go back to this.
Rich, go ahead, Rich. Hit the link, man. I don't know. Hit the link again. I feel like I saw you in the background, but you keep disappearing, bro. Hit the link again, Rich. I know you want to come up.
But
I'll go back to this. I'll go back to this.
Aaron McKenna fighting for the IBF this weekend, so they should give guys back anyway.
They will. I'll go back to this. It's good business. Here, picture this. It's Friday, the day of the weigh-ins, co-main, main event. Mauricio's going to be happy. He's going to get his comp suites. He's going to get his couple tickets, and they're just going to throw the sanctioning bodies a bone and tell them to stay out of the business. You want to keep getting paid? Shut up. Do what we tell you to do. It's that simple.
I think they got to play ball anyway, because you will have to think if Aaron McKenna fighting for the IBF this Saturday, and then Ja was the IBF champion. Of course, he got stripped. But then you also got Omar Trinidad. The IBF just ordered him for a final eliminator. So if the dude turns it down, he automatically fighting Angelo Leo anyway. Then you got to think, like, come on, IBF. If y'all playing ball with us, then we're going to play ball with y'all, which, like Dana White said, they did the first time anyway.
Right. Yeah, I think it's very like HLD, you know what I mean? Even because, you know, if it was bullshit, HLD would be like, he would have blew that shit up. But no, it's reasonable. It's realistic, I think, that's possible. You know what I mean? I would like an official announcement. So, you know, we're not sitting here, you know, putting out anything.
It's a smart speculation, though. I think it makes sense. It makes sense for the IBF to be a part of that because it's going to be a mega. That's gonna the viewership that night is gonna be nice. It's gonna be nice over there.
Hey, speaking of that, Clay, ask Angelo, because I already know. You know, I'm tapping in like y'all. I'm sure, obviously, y'all know too. All the names, like, you know, we know who gonna be on that card when they gonna finally announce. Because I've been telling everybody that card is heat. That card is top tier Miami Heat. So I've been asking, like, when they gonna just officially announce it, you know?
Yeah, he's hearing, he's watching. So let's see if he puts it in the.
Okay. So I've been telling people, I said, if y'all been following the fighters, even if y'all ain't, I'll like look up the names. But I was like, trust me, there's some names on this card. I was like, this gonna be a good card, you know?
Yeah, man. I mean, things are definitely the needle is definitely being moved in a crazy way, and especially on the back end of that of the Revival Act, looking like it's gotten closer again to finally just going through here. Now involving the sanctioning bodies, it seems like that's also been addressed in pieces. So yeah, man, I'm expecting a lot of things to roll out on the back end of this, man.
Yeah, this card is going to be a linchpin turning point. You're going to go back in history, like, when did it really change? And it changed with this card.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I noticed this too. I said, I ain't heard no kind of Eddie Slick homage, and you did 5 fights at the garage and you still stuck in the garage. I ain't heard nothing since they left. They did that show in Bournemouth, and they did the show over in MSG, and they got this show. I ain't heard Eddie saying nothing. Nah, I'm curious why he hadn't been saying anything.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing for them to say, you know. I mean, and once again, the vision, man. Even Mauricio Suleiman. And look, I make jokes and I do the voices, you know, impressions of Mauricio and all that. But the reality is, one thing about Mauricio Suleiman is he's a businessman. Whether you agree with it or not, whether it's corrupt at times, whether it's kind of weird, one thing is he's going to go where the money's at. I always knew Mauricio Suleiman would fall in line. I knew when it was all said and done, he would fall in line. But the Oscar De La Hoyas of the world, bro. Listen, man, Raul Curiel looks like he's on his way out of Golden Boy. Will he end up in Zuffa? Who knows, right? You know, I don't know, but he doesn't want to be over there. Floyd Schofield Jr., he just you know, he got that. He didn't get that push through. Let's be honest. It was Floyd Schofield Sr. who got that mandatory push through to put that pressure for the WBA to put Tank in recess and to order this fight that he has coming up with Lucas Body. Shout out to Eric Gomez and everything that he does, but you guys need to be working. Don't be sitting there making clapback Thursdays, bro, and try to push propaganda. That's not going to get you across the finish line. What's going to get you across the finish line is the biggest fights, right? That's what it is. The biggest fights, the best matches, being part of the biggest events. That's how you do it. Everything else is just, that's why Dana's not even responding to it. And he's saying this is easier. What he said is like beating babies. It's like beating on babies. Because you guys think that the propaganda, all the shit that you used to do, the only in America shit is going to work. It's not. This is different. This is a war of attrition, baby. It's a marathon, not a race. It's chess, not checkers. All the terms that fall under it to describe what this is. These motherfuckers came in on the back end of, we're going to hit the Senate. We're going to hit legislation first, and then we're going to hit it. That's how they're coming in. They're not trying to convince people through their mouth. They're trying to convince people through their actions. You guys better get on the same boat or you're going to get left behind. You know what I mean? Let me see here. Edward Torres says, until Zuffa builds a star, I don't really care. Brother, fine.
Abram,
okay. My counter to that guy, Clay, is when's the last time DAZN? Who's the star DAZN's built?
100%.
Name me one star. Who's DAZN built as a star? Everybody they had was stars before. They didn't build AJ. They didn't build Canelo. They didn't build Triple G.
Right. I mean, listen, when the boxes are checked up, Oscar builds Schofield and Curiel. Okay, they did to Zuffa. Did they build Schofield? Schofield hasn't fought since Tevin Farmer. He's sitting here complaining about activity. Did they build Raul Carrillo? I just saw Robert Garcia talking about activity. Raul Carrillo looking to be active. You know what I'm saying? Why is he leaving? Why are they being stolen from Oscar De La Hoya, or are these fighters saying this just ain't it? This just ain't it. Sorry. You know what I mean? Like, I know you want to defend Oscar De La Hoya to the end of the world. I can appreciate it to a certain degree that you respect. You know, I'm assuming your name is Edward Torres. I'm assuming you're Mexican, or you know, what I mean, Latin community who. I feel like he need to show and prove, bro. He gonna lose what he need to show and prove.
That sound like a no-brainer, Clay. I was telling people yesterday when I seen that, I said, man, that's like for Richardson Hitchens, bro, that's a no-brainer. I'm like, if I'm him, I'm like, get me Curiel, because Curiel, he top 5 in like every sanction. That's an easy way to get him to be next in line for either WBC or the WBO. So, we'll see.
Hey, yeah. Abram Gonzalez is reporting that David Benavidez is set then to fight the interim WBC champion Michael.
So that's a fact. Yeah, just like
in November or December. So that's
what you're saying at this point, as far as Joao Bataya and McKellian is concerned.
How's that?
I mean, is that what you're basically saying? You're basically saying that now you have something to co-sign the idea that Benavidez is not fighting McKellian, right?
Right, and then and he's also reporting Abram Gonzalez is reporting. In other words, don't be surprised that because the IBF does have an interim champion, and that they elevate the interim champion to full champion. But I think we're off on that. So
shout out to everybody in the room, man. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel, guys. It's about that time for me. I'm about to wrap it up. I gotta get ready for my evening situation. Listen, man, great conversations today. Great news coming out as far as Joao Bataya fighting Noel McKellian. I think that's huge. You know what I'm saying? 2 big WBC title fights on the same card, co-headlining the Ryan Garcia Conor Benn, and of course that lineal title be on the line as well. Great fights this weekend, man. Oh, I didn't get to ask you guys real quick before we land the plane. I definitely want everybody to comment on that Mark Chamberlain Pierce O'Leary fight, which I thought was fight of the weekend and potentially fight of the year. But I'm definitely interested in what you guys saw that fight. That fight was amazing to me. How did you guys feel about that?
I was surprised. I ain't gonna lie. I know that's Mark Chamberlain's thing, but good Lord, I was surprised because him and Jack Rafferty, they almost killed each other when they fought. Right. So I'm like, then seeing Jack Rafferty go up and slaughter Echo Usman the way he did, I was like, man, I was thinking of more so that maybe it was for time for Mark Chamberlain to move up, and I thought it was just gonna be Pierce O'Leary's time, but obviously it wasn't, and it was just too early for Pierce O'Leary to take that step up. But of course, Clay, we got to say it. Shakur resume aging well because Josh Padley mocked Mark Chamberlain.
Yeah, I mean, I was saying that the other day too as well when I was talking about Shakur. A lot of the fights have aged well. The Josh Padley fight, the Zepeda fight, right? And let's see how Tiafimo ages against Rolly Romero. But his opponents have him looking good. They moving on to do great things, right? Even Conceição, rolled into a competitive fight with Raymond Morataya. You know what I'm saying? So these fights, have played out in a certain way. But that being said, though, Well, first of all, let me give everybody an opportunity to build on that. I don't know if anybody wants to talk about it. If the HLD wants to talk about 444.
I'm not into the whole building that your resume ages well. Because if it's Bud Crawford, they're gonna say, well, after you fight Bud Crawford, they're never the same. So then, what's happening with Shakur, bro? He don't do shit.
So let me ask you this, HL. How do you feel the hold on? How do you feel the Lamont Roach fight with Tank aged on the back of seeing what Zepeda did to Lamont Roach?
Well, it did, bro. He Roach beat Tank. I mean, I don't know what's there to age. He beat Tank. I don't care what anybody says.
Is Tank? What does that say about Tank as far as Lamont Roach beating Tank and William Zepeda dominating?
He is who I always thought he was, bro. A globetrotter, bro.
Okay, but that's fair play. But what I'm asking you is, does that fight validate your position, or does it not validate? Like, does your position stand alone?
I think with Roach, I think Roach has proven himself very well, man. And I'm not gonna take it. Bro. Roach is a he puts in the work. Though. No, I'm just saying that does it validate? He had a draw with Tank that was really a robbery. He had a a lot of people argue the draw with Pitbull. And in this fight, he just ran into a guy who leveled up. I'm just sorry, it was not the same Zepeda that fought Shakur. I tell you that this was not the same Zepeda.
No, 100%. Look, I don't want to, because I see what the angle you're going. The angle you're going with is, don't discredit Lamont Roach, because maybe by doing that, you're discrediting Zepeda to a degree, right? Let's don't do that.
But then I don't.
But I'm more so on the other side of the conversation. I'm more so going back towards the Tank fight on Lamont Roach, right? To say, and I understand what you're saying. I think that's fair play, by the way. I think that Lamont Roach is a great fighter, but also, to be fair, to just bring the reality of the situation to the last time we saw Lamont Roach do something spectacular in the ring was against Hector Garcia, right?
Yeah. Well, no, it was against Tank, right?
Well, I'm saying before. I'm just saying the last time he got a victory.
Yeah, I mean officially, yeah.
Right. So, huh?
You're breaking up big time, big guy.
Oh, you're breaking up. You're breaking up.
You're breaking up.
No, say it again, Mandalorian.
Then you got to pop in, go and come back in or something. But
yeah. So I'm having a fair play conversation, right? I'm not saying I'm leaning towards one way or the other. I'm just saying, are these things taken into consideration as far as, okay, so when Tank returns to the ring, his last fight will have been against Lamont Roach. And the last time we seen him, he was talking about fighting against Jake Paul. Inactivity is the cousin of I'm trying to make up a word right now, is the cousin of a digression to a degree, right? Like, if you're not of retirement. Right. So what are we expecting from Tank when he returns? His last fight he had was against Lamont Roach, which was a lackluster performance against Roach in comparison to what we know of him. And Roach's last big performance where he got a victory and picked up a belt was against Hector Garcia. Since then, he's gone a draw with Aesop Pitbull Cruz and then been dominated by William Zepeda.
Let him fight. I hate talking about him. Let him fight Zepeda and show me what you got.
Okay.
Show me what you got. It's about as good as I'm gonna. That's it. I got nothing much to say about it.
I'm here. Leave it to me to stir the pot. Leave it to me to stir the pot. I don't even know what the hell I'm talking about. I was just wondering what you guys thought about it. Go ahead, Mandalorian.
I was saying he stopped Frigga McCrory. After he had beat Hector Garcia, he went back to DC and stopped Frigga McCrory.
You're right. Yes, you're right. Yes, he did have one fight and he stopped him. Right. So that was his last win. And it was a good win.
See, it was a while ago. Yeah. It still was a while ago, but you're right.
So how did
I'm not throwing Roach away, man. I'm not. I'm one thing. He gives it your all. He gives it your all. I congratulate him for that. He's a good dude. He puts in the work. He's class act. And he took the loss on the chin. He didn't shortchange us, bro. He didn't shortchange. He just gave it what he had, and that was it. And he couldn't. He ran into a buzzsaw. Simple as that.
I agree. You know, let me tell you, these conversations sometimes are difficult to have because the last thing I want to do is discredit Roach. I'm not trying to do that. I promise you, right? But it is, listen, if I don't, somebody else will, right? I'm just bringing up the conversation. And, you know, at the end of the day, you guys, HLD specifically as well, you know what I mean? You shared your opinion on it and say that, listen, man, no, we're not going to do that to him. But at the same time, I promise you that you will go into other rooms and this conversation will come
There'll be
up.
there'll be another name. There'll be another name that I'll discredit. But then I have my facts and reasons of why I'm going to discredit this person. But when it comes to Roach, look, man, he fought his ass off with Tank. He fought his ass off with Pitbull Cruz, and he fought his ass off with Zepeda. He just ran into guys who were one guy that robbed him, another guy that was his equal, and the other guy who was just simply a much better fighter.
100%. I agree. I think that's what the case is. And by the way, I want to put it out there. I think Roach should look to fight Gary Russell Jr.
At 140? No,
135.
No, Gary Russell's at 140.
Nah, but
I mean Gary. I mean the older brother. Yeah, right. Oh well, I mean, yeah, that'd be a good fight.
What do you think about that fight?
I got Gary Russell.
Damn, HL, he can't get the win. So maybe he shouldn't fight Gary Russell. Should he prioritize getting a win first at this point?
Yeah, get Gary Russell. I mean, you look. I mean, I'm going for Gary Russell because, bro, what. I saw that guy be on the couch for whatever how long it was, 3 years, and he came back, bro. He bro. It's like, bro, you like there's that special talent, like that's next level special talent that a lot of these young pups at 25, 26, 28 years old they don't fight like. So I mean, Gary Russell is a special talent, but hey, you should be able to beat Father Time. So yeah, put him on his ass, get him out of here.
But do you think Lamont should Lamont focus on getting a win? Like, do you think his next fight should be a soft touch at this point, being that he hasn't had a win since whenever it was he fought McCrory?
I think he should ride the wave that he's been on. He's been fighting consistently, and I mean, yeah,
so he should go into another big fight, like go for Gary Russell.
I wouldn't mind it. I really wouldn't, because Gary Russell's been on the couch, bro. You're supposed to beat his ass.
Yeah, and that's a big DMV fight, right? That's DC. That's a good fight, man.
That'll sell 10,000 easily by himself over there somewhere in DC. I know it will.
Or Maryland or something, right?
Right. It'll be a good fight. I'm not saying he's gonna win it against Gary Russell, but you know, hey, you're the young pup compared to Gary. You're supposed to take that old man out. But I just know that, you know, so, but I'm gonna favor Gary, and you know, I got love for the Russells.
It sounds like you're gonna be rooting for Lamont, but you're gonna go for Gary.
No, I'm gonna. I got Gary. Period.
Okay.
And that fight. But I think it's gonna be a great fight. I got Gary. Period. Beating him.
A victory over Gary Russell throws Lamont right back in the conversation.
Oh, right? It will, because you know what? I don't think not too many people wanna stake their name and building their name up on fighting Gary Russell, even at 36, 37 years old. Bro, he looked fast in that last fight. Bro, that timing was impeccable, man. I was like, damn. So I don't know. I mean, it's a great name for you to like, you know, that's that name that you like, I want to build my fighter on. Let me get Gary Russell. Nobody's doing that. And that's what I said.
Yeah. It is what it is, man. Shout out to everybody in the building. 444, do you want to tap into that at all, or are you good? I think 444 is out the way. All right, man. I appreciate you, HLD, man. Shout out to you. Shout out to everybody who was in the chat, man, who popped up on the panel, man. Shout out to everybody in the building. Thank you for the super chats from Chico 84 510. Yeah, man. Good conversations. Good news coming out also with the whole entire Jao Pataya, Noah McKellian fight, and looking forward to see what comes out on the back end of that, guys. It is what it is, man. Until the next one, it's your boy Rain. It's at ATP Combat Media at this point. We out.
Yeah. Gotta aim for the top like, hold up. Yeah, I can never doubt myself, I know better. All of you critics be acting like you know better. Blowing the smoke, but I know when the dust settles that I'm in my element. It's evident that there's levels to the game. All of those dark nights I got them, breaking my back to make it out, got me feeling like rain. I ain't never need your help, I know you wishing me well. A penny for your thoughts, but seeing no change. I snap for the sun like Diddy. The richest got a mad ass son, I'm like Billy. I ain't never switch up, whole team with me. But known for my city like OAGZ. Set the pace as long as you finish. Consumers find a way inside your business. Babble if they try to dabble in it, and they hate the fact that they may have to witness. You try to aim for the top like this, and you're in your element with a fire like this, and they hoping you fall and they praying you miss, but it's all in the risk. I got you with the switch, you know.
I'm in the zone. Give me the throne. One shot, that's all that you got.